Okay, it's a good idea that I turn my mic on. Okay, so we're on the air. The regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, Tuesday, December 6, 2022, 9:30, Laguna Woods, calls this meeting to order. We have a quorum. And the next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Stillman.
Okay. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we acknowledge the media, and the next item is the approval of the agenda, and there are a couple of changes, and one would be to remove item 9, which is solar. It's G. It's 11G, solar. We don't have any issues right now on solar. Okay, so we're just going to eliminate that. And then the other, we're moving the pickleball presentation up to the beginning of new business. Okay, so it'll be at the beginning of new business instead of at the end of new business, because I know everybody's anxious. Okay, so are there any objections to the corrected agenda? Juanita?
Just a question. Are we eliminating 11G or are we going to keep it as an oral discussion? I know there's nothing in the packet on it.
We have nothing on. It was just a mistake to even put solar on there.
Thank you.
We have nothing on solar. Okay. So are there any objections to the corrected agenda? So if there's no objections, the corrected agenda is passed. The next item is the approval of the minutes of November 1st, 2022, GRF Board Regular Open Meeting. Are there any changes? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the meeting minutes of November 1st, 2022 is approved. So the minutes of November 17th, 2022, GRF Board Agenda Prep Meeting, are there any changes? So if there is no changes, are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes of November 17th are approved without objection. So the next item is the report of the chair, and I wasn't going to take up our time with that, but I do want to congratulate the GRF new representatives are Diane Phelps, Debbie Allen, and Cynthia Rupert, and they will be seated at the VMS annual meeting on December 12th. The other thing that I was going to talk about was the spill, but I think you'll probably talk about that.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I'll start with the chemical spill, and then I had something else planned for this morning. Okay. Yesterday afternoon at about 4:30, we noticed a drip coming out of the chemical storage shed at the pool at Clubhouse 1. So we took immediate action, notified Orange County Hazmat. They came out and assisted us. We had a slow leak of muriatic acid, and that was neutralized by OCFA, and now cleanup started last night and is being completed this morning. The pool is open, the clubhouse is open. Last night we did have to cancel 3 activities at Clubhouse 1, and we cleared the pool and the fitness center just out of an abundance of caution. But again, everything is back to normal this morning. I want to thank Allison and her team in recreation, as well as our security staff who took, again, necessary precautions to address that.
Thank you.
And then this morning, as part of my CEO report, I wanted to highlight more than $1.4 million in savings that have been recently implemented through the collaboration of the boards and staff, and to introduce a program to generate further cost savings. The first cost savings item comes from our General Services Department, which manages more than 400 vehicles. A recently completed fleet right-sizing assessment evaluated all departments to identify the number of vehicles appropriate for the employees in the work centers, and opportunities to share vehicles across work centers, downgrade vehicles where possible, so from a large pickup truck to a smaller pickup truck, and reduce the number of vehicles in the fleet. This recently completed study anticipates saving more than $610,000 over the next 4 years. There will be approximately $478,000 in vehicle reductions, $94,000 in changes to vehicle class, and $38,000 by pooling and sharing vehicles across work centers. The next savings item involves 2023 employee health insurance. During the budget preparation process, staff was engaged in negotiations and evaluating different alternatives to providing employee health insurance, captives, various self-funding options, and so forth for non-union employees. At that time, the incumbent provider quoted a 10% rate increase for 2023. Ultimately, staff was able to negotiate with a different provider at a 4.4% reduction from our current year rates while enhancing employee health care benefits. So this is a great outcome for both the village and for our employees. The estimated 2023 savings is a minimum of $500,000 through this change. The next cost savings measure is associated with the replacement of the irrigation master control system that was originally installed in 2001. The current system is obsolete. There is no functional remote access. A technician must be at a monitor to see and resolve issues, and this is a limiting factor given the system runs at night and on weekends. The new weather track system uses cloud-based software, providing the user with remote access to manage controllers, and daily weather reports are communicated to the controllers to automatically adjust run times as needed. The conservative estimated water savings from the new system is 74 million gallons of water annually throughout the village, and based on current water rates, the expenditure savings is estimated to be almost $280,000 annually. And I should stress that with expected water rate increases, expenditure savings should increase along with those rates, which is good news. The final savings item pertains to administration of the employee's 401k plan. The plan was administered by one company, with portions administered by a separate third-party administrator. Staff sought pricing to bundle record keeping and act as the sole program administrator. This action reduces the administrative costs for the plan by more than $42,000 per year. These costs are borne by the employees participating in the program, so this reduction is to employee participants and makes this key benefit and retention tool even more attractive to employees because they are paying less for administrative costs. To further these cost-saving efforts, VMS is launching the Bright Ideas pilot program. Employees are valuable sources of ideas that may reduce costs, promote financial stability, enhance service quality and processes, offer innovation, and improve safety and decrease liability exposure. Qualifying suggestions are eligible for rewards ranging from honorary to $1,500 based on the impact of the suggestion. Funding for the 2023 pilot program will come from savings achieved through implementation of the ideas generated by the program. The cost of the pilot program will not exceed $10,000, and program effectiveness will be monitored quarterly by boards of directors and may be extended based on performance. And that concludes my update this morning. I just wanted to share some good news with the community. Thank you.
Yes, Reza.
Thank you, Siobhan, for all the effort of VMS for the cost-saving effort. Thank you for that. I have a question about the fleet. You mentioned about the cost saving. Does translate into number of vehicles being reduced? And if that's the case, over what period of time, or just that cost saving under similar operation that we have?
There is an actual reduction in the number of vehicles. I'll look that up quickly and I'll report back at the end of the meeting.
I appreciate that, yeah. Thank you.
Off my.
Any other questions? Okay, the next item is the open forum. So I have to ask staff, how many people do we have for the open forum? Because that would,
We have 2 in-person speakers, and then, let's see, we have 2 emails to read for open forum. We have a few emails for a different portion of the meeting, but
okay, all right.
that is it.
So at this time, only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recorded by attendees, and no rude or threatening remarks. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom, and that number is 9813125. Can you write it that fast? I'm sorry, I'll start over. 98131257242, or call 1-669-900-6833, or email meeting@vmsinc.org to have your message read during the forum. So we'll limit each speaker to 3 minutes. So I'll turn it over to you.
First speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here to give you an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods on behalf of residents experiencing temporary financial challenges. Thank you, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village would like to thank all of its donors and many individual clubs and other organizations who have generously supported the foundation and made it possible for it to celebrate the 25th anniversary this year. These donations have ensured the lifeline provided by the foundation has continued to provide needed help to residents encountering hard times during the past 25 years. The thank you notes received from the residents help by the foundation tell the whole story. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the foundation's caring assistance. I know I was just an anonymous case, which makes me appreciate your gift so much more because I know your kindness is there for everyone who needs your help. I want to express my deep appreciation for a generous grant. Thank you for making it possible to enjoy a respite from caregiving for my brother. This grant has served to improve my mental health. And finally, a fall injured and scared me. Thank you for the emergency response device coverage. Your generosity is very much appreciated since my finances are limited. Many of you may be wondering how their donations help residents. Well, here are a few examples. For example, a $100 donation can buy 2 earthquake kits for residents who can't afford them, or fund 1 trip to the South County Outreach Food Pantry, transporting approximately 8 residents once a month. For services, to obtain services, you must contact the social services at 949-597-4267. A $200 donation can fund several days of care for those with dementia or Alzheimer at the Healthy Aging Center, Laguna Woods, which is located on El Toro Road, and it's provided by Alzheimer's Orange County. A $300 donation can fund 42 Meals on Wheels or pay for 6 $50 grocery cards for needy residents. A $400 donation can pay 8 electricity bills or provide a medical alert system for a fall-prone resident. And finally, a $500 donation can provide days of care services after a hospital stay or repair the hearing aid of a resident facing financial challenges. For more information about the foundation, please contact us at thefoundation@comline.com or 949-268-2246. Please also visit our website at thefoundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org to learn how the foundation lives up to its mottos, neighbors helping neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Lenny Ross.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President and GRF Board. My name is Lenny Ross. I'm president of United, and I live at 687 Avenida Sevilla. Purpose of the statement is to give you more information about your investment decisions. I wanted to note that GRF, United, share the same investment policy. Up until recently, we have the same financial advisor, SageView, and we have comparable investments. My statement is as follows. United, after having 4 ad hoc investment meetings on November 14th, United Board heard the outstanding presentations from Allison Bach, our resident advisor with 35 years in financial services, Jerry Salusewicz from Pacific Financial Planners, and Russell Goldstein of Bank of America. Bank of America is a prime broker-dealer. This culminated with United Board's decision to accept the resolution to sell our bond funds, replacing them with U.S.-backed Treasury bills, laddered from 3 months to 21 months, now paying over 4% per year, with an anticipated recovery of United's loss of $1.5 million within 2.5 years. During this process of securing professional people sharing with our United Board their many years of investment advisory experience, I have learned 4 points. Number 1, United shares with GRF an investment policy which has as its number 1 goal for investments is safety. Number 2, our investment advisors told us that bond funds, both GRF and United, were invested in much riskier than being in individual bonds. They are like a mutual fund of bonds in that individual bonds have a maturity date and a yield to maturity, whereas the only thing that affects the return of bond funds are interest rates. As interest rates rise, bond funds drop. Interest rates drop, bond funds increase. Our advisors further stated that raising or declining interest rates could represent a cycle lasting 20 years. In fact, we have seen rising interest rates for the last year. United's investment losses year-to-date reached $1.5 million, and GRF investments losses year-to-date are about $1.8 million. We expect another increase in interest rates by the Fed on December 14th and early on 2023, which will add to the investment losses. Please keep in mind that because of this risk of bond funds, United and GRF investment policy includes investments of individual bonds, but does not include investments in bond funds. Our investment advisors further stated that our investment...
Lenny?
Yes.
Excuse me, your time is up. Can you summarize it?
Yeah.
Close? Thank you.
Okay. I'll get to the final point. And this is my final point. Albeit GRF enjoys a larger cash and reserve position than does United, as a fiduciary, it is our responsibility to our members, and this money belongs to all of us, that we manage it properly, and when it appears that based on the short-term outlook for interest rates is up, bond funds held by United and GRF would most likely continue to lose more money. In conclusion, United on November 14th passed our recovery resolution, and we urge GRF to do the same. And also, I have copies of my statement, and also I have copies of one of our investment advisors, Allison Bach,
Lenny?
and I'd like to present that to you. So I'll leave that here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We have 2 emails from residents, so I'll go ahead and read those. The first one is from Rosalind Russell, and they stated, "Dear Board, those of who swim note how cold pool 4 has become during our cooler times. This is actually dangerous to us since, as you know, we are all older and dealing with cool temperatures harms us to the point of suffering and perhaps death because of being too chilled. Pool 4 is supposed to be our warmest pool. Many have reported this important matter to recreation without a change, though Pool 4 is supposed to run at 87 to 86 degrees year-round. I imagine it would be helpful to have this pool covered at night to retain both the temperature and water from evaporation, but we know this hasn't been done for months. While mentioning these matters, the pool cover is uncovered with a most damaged cover and needs replacement. It is shabby as so of a few of the umbrellas around the pool area. Where is maintenance? Thank you for hearing my request, along with the reality we need the heat for our health and safety. If we didn't, we could go to other pools for a cooler swim. Thanks. And the secondary emails from Bill Fisher. They stated, the operating rules were approved last month for the garden center. So many residents told your GRF and the CAC committees that the rules needed more work. They were ignored for the most part. We have been told to wait and see how well these rules work. The rules are not working already if you follow the rules. Number 1, both residents and staff must follow the rules. For residents, Rule G1, quoting, gardeners/partners are responsible for keeping their plots weed and debris free at all times. Key words, weed and debris free and at all times. This means 0 weeds and debris every minute, every day. You may say, we didn't mean that. Why not say what you mean? For VMS staff, Rule Q1, third paragraph, quoting a portion thereof. If a gardener is found to be in violation of the operating rules, the gardener shall be notified. Read the full Q1 for even more procedural requirements. Keyword shall. Shall is a required action. It is fall. Weeds are growing. Leaves are falling. The wind is blowing. Weeds and debris everywhere. Consequently, all gardeners, myself included, are now found to be in violation of Rule G1, and staff are now on official Q1. Notice and action is required for over 1,000 violations, thousands of hours of work. Number 2, residents and staff cannot comply with these rules. These are humiliating and disparaging rules for both staff and residents. They also threaten to take away rental property rights of residents for, in too many cases, no bona fide reason. The GRF should have and can do better. Sincerely, Bill Fisher. And that is all for open forum.
Thank you. Is there any response to the forum speakers? Okay, Reza?
Jim, you go first.
Okay. All right, thank you.
First, I want to thank Lenny and United for bringing to the table the investment status. I think they did a very credible job of getting advice and counsel from the ad hoc committee. And we are looking into our investments. We have a different profile in terms of our cash position, as President Ross pointed out. And so we're going to be a little bit more deliberative in how we pull out, or if we pull out, of the current investment. I just want to remind everyone, too, that in 2019, a similar ad hoc committee was formed. And because of the low yield of the current interest rates, had advised that we move into bond funds at that time, which I guess everyone agreed to at that time, because 2019. In 2020, the bond funds had a great yield, and but not enough. And at that time, for the United board, and there was a suggestion you probably didn't see, but that why don't we move into stocks? We rejected that because obviously that is not in keeping with the policy. So, of course, in 2021 and 2022, as interest rates rise, bond funds are usually very much slower to react than than bonds themselves. So it made us all realize, and I think Third realized that earlier rather than we did. But bond funds react much slower, and bond fund managers have to react much slower to any sort of interest rate changes. The result is our yield today is very, very low. We haven't sold anything, so we call it unrealized or a paper loss. It's expected to recover. The question is when and how much. And so that's why we want to take a much more deliberative approach, because it's not just one fund, it's a series of about 7 funds, and each one has a different profile and a different fund manager. And so some will recover sooner rather than later, okay? And if that sooner rather than later is a better choice for us, we may stay with that fund. So we're looking at this in a much more deliberative way. In fact, we're scheduling with our investment advisor an education process by which at the next finance meeting, okay, we'll get an education on the difference between bonds, bond funds, cash equivalents, and a whole bunch of alternatives that we would consider as fiduciaries. So we are working on it, and I thank again President Ross for bringing this to the forefront.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah.
Reza?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank Ms. Collins. Every time you come here, you bring the message of hope and kindness. We really appreciate everything you do for the community. I will say it every time that you come because you're great. Thank you. I just got a message from our CEO. We eliminating 11 vehicles, downgrading 10, and 6 of them being repurposed. That's great news. Thank you for that. I have a question for Lenny, Mr. Ross. When we combine our forces on investment, are we getting any favored status? I leave the technical detail to James, but I'm just interested to see if it combine or investment, do we get any preferred status or any saving on the cost of the fund or anything like that you might be aware of? Thank you.
So I know that we both use SageView, and SageView provides very, very competitive low rates for us, and I'm sure for GRF as well. I think it's like 7 basis points. It was the charge that they were charging us. So that's one advantage, is both using SageView, we enjoy the better or the lower rates. But I think it would be in our interest to, I'm sure it was definitely in our interest for United to come to the decision we did, because we weren't in the same position as you guys, as the GRF. GRF has a much stronger position in cash and in reserves. However, and that's why we came to the decision that we did, that we needed to sell our funds and start our recovery plan. I think if we, and the next step is for us to pick a new financial advisor, which we're going to be doing. And at that point, if we combine with GRF and pick the same financial advisor, we could gain benefits via that route too. And so we're looking at that, and we may want to combine forces with you guys, and if you guys are considering another financial advisor, we can talk about that at a later time. But that's basically it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you see Diane has her hand up?
Pardon? Dan, yes, there was Diane, and then Joan, and then Yvonne. Okay, so Diane, your turn.
Casey.
Diane Casey. Your hand is up.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay, until she comes up, I think,
I just had a question for one of the emails for Rosalind. What pool number was that she was referring to?
Pool 4.
Pool 4. Thank you.
so why don't we let Allison speak to that? Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President and Directors. Yes, the pool 4 is to be kept at 84 to 86 degrees year-round. That's per the operating rules. And the water is currently reading about 87 degrees. Our system is maxed out at 87 degrees, so we can't go any higher than 87 at that particular pool. And also regarding the pool covers, yes, we are aware they need to be replaced. We're currently gathering quotes for that, as well as the umbrellas. So that is on our radar, and we are looking to refresh some of those items over there.
Thank you. Okay, Joan, I'm not Joan, I'm sorry, Yvonne, you're next.
I'm sorry, Michaela, who wrote the letter for, about the garden center rules?
Bill Fisher.
Bill Fisher.
Oh, well, you know, we've had a lot of meetings, many meetings about these garden center rules. And we've taken at every meeting, we've taken their suggestions and folded them into our rules. I don't know what else I can do, or the CAC can do. We've elevated them to GRF, and now we're going to try to pass them. Thank you. Did you want to add something to that, Allison?
I think the only thing I would add, there is some language throughout the garden center rules that maybe could be, it's up to interpretation. We're not going to go around the garden centers if someone has weeds and we know they're active participants and send them to compliance. It is within reason for staff to monitor. There are a lot of compliance issues at the garden centers. It's something that we're working on to get everyone up to speed and keep their plots organized and up to date. But there are, you know, we understand that weeds are going to come up and people can't keep them weed-free 100% of the time. We're reasonable with that and enforcing that. So we plan on continuing to approach it that way.
Thank you. Diane? Your hand is up. Okay, it's blinking. Are you there?
Oh, she's taking it down.
Oh, okay. No, it's still up. But I can't hear.
She doesn't have her mic on. I mean,
Yeah.
no mic on.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Okay, so I think we need to move on. And whatever information you have, Diane, we can talk about that after the meeting if that's okay. So the next item is the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject of further discussion and action by the board. So recommendation from the Finance Committee, A, consistent with the statutory obligations of subcommittee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other board member reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation for the month of October 2022. By this vote, ratify that such review be confirmed in the month's board open session meeting. So do you want to make a motion that we pass it?
Motion. I move that we pass the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Are there any objections? No objections. The consent calendar is approved. So the next item is unfinished business. So I'm sorry, is to entertain a motion to approve the Saddleback Church. Now, this motion was previously passed, and we have completed the 28-day review. So, Joan, please read the resolution. Thank you.
I'm working on it. Okay. Resolution 90-22-XX, Religious Church Club request for exception to clubhouse holiday hours. Whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department oversees all recreation facilities. On May 5th, 2020, GRF approved and adopted Clubhouse Holiday Hours, Resolution 90-20-19, allowing all clubhouses to remain closed on New Year's Day, beginning January 2021. And whereas Saddleback Church Club requested for an exception to Clubhouse Holiday Hours and is requesting to meet in Clubhouse 5 on Sunday, January 1st, 2023, from 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And whereas on October 13th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved the all church exception to clubhouse holiday hours for one service only on January 1st, 2023, and to include all additional costs. And whereas presently there are 4 village churches who meet on Sundays in the clubhouses. When the Performing Arts Center reopens, 1 additional church will resume meeting on Sundays. Saddleback Church meets in Clubhouse 5, the main lounge, from 7:30 to 1. Their cost for rental is $141. Joyful Christian Church meets in Clubhouse 1, main lounge, from 9:30 to 1:30. Their cost is $47. Village Church and Clubhouse meets in Clubhouse 7, main lounge, and they're there from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Their rental cost is $52. The Center for Spiritual Living meets at the Village Greens, club rooms 1, 2, and 3, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and their cost of the rental is $42. Full-time and part-time hourly staff who are scheduled to work on one of the designated VMS holidays receive holiday pay equal to 1.5 times base pay. And whereas the Saddleback Church Club reservation is for 5 hours and 30 minutes, setup and breakdown of the main lounge takes a total of 4 hours. The cost to staff, Saddleback Church Club on, The cost to staff, Saddleback Church Club on January 1st, 2023 is approximately $412. The total includes wage rate plus holiday pay, burden rate, and overhead rate. The labor, $412, and room rental, $141, total $553. Now therefore be it resolved, December 6th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the all-church exception to clubhouse holiday hours for one service only on January 1st, 2023, and to include all additional costs. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move we pass this resolution.
Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the Saddleback Church Club request for exception, the clubhouse holiday hours, is passed.
Debbie?
Debbie? Okay. I should have asked for discussion. Anyway, the next item is to entertain a motion to approve the Equestrian Center operating rules, and they have completed the 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360, and it has been satisfied. So, Joan, do you want to read the resolution?
Yes. Resolution 90-22-XX, Equestrian Center operating rules. Whereas the board has set policies and operating rules for usage of GRF facilities, and whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department oversees the use of facilities, and whereas the department is responsible for ensuring that safety and compliance procedures are followed, protect facilities, and enforce policy and operating rules. And whereas the proposed amendments improve the understandability of the policies and procedures and facilitates implementation by staff. And whereas on October 13th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved the amended Equestrian Center operating rules as presented. And whereas that this resolution supersedes and cancels Resolution 90-16-43, adopted September 6th, 2016. Now therefore be it resolved, December 6th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the amended Equestrian Center operating rules as presented and attached to the official minutes, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution. Debbie seconds.
Any discussion? Any objections? There are no objections. The Equestrian Center operating rules is passed. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve Equestrian Center horse boarding agreement. And this also has satisfied the 28-day notification member review. So Joan, will you read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, Equestrian Center Horse Boarding Agreement. Whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department manages the Equestrian Center's daily operation, the department's responsibilities include, but are not limited to, managing the resident boarding and riding programs, outdoor social events, horse trailer storage, horse feeding, trails, and facility maintenance. And whereas boarders are required to sign a release, waiver of liability, and indemnity agreement, and complete required forms for transportation, emergency treatment, rider and helper authorization, and acknowledge and agree to the GRF Equestrian Center operating rules. Additionally, all boarders must meet insurance requirements and provide proof. And whereas the boarding agreement is crucial for both the boarding stable and the horse owner. It sets responsibilities and governs potential liability issues and any emergencies that could arise. And whereas legal counsel advised GRF to develop a boarding agreement to limit liability, noting either party should be able to terminate the agreement without cause on a certain number of days' notice. Further, the agreement should allow GRF to terminate the lease agreement with cause under certain circumstances geared towards protecting the health and safety of the horses, people, and the facility. Termination should also be allowed for non-payment. And whereas recommendations were received from staff and committee members to ensure safety and compliance, the presented boarding agreement addresses horse injury and death, boarder injury and death, personal property damage and loss, third-party lawsuits, termination, abandonment, and unpaid fees. GRF Legal Counsel has reviewed and approved the horse boarding agreement, and whereas on October 13th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved the Equestrian Center horse boarding agreement as presented. Now therefore be it resolved that December 6, 2022, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the Equestrian Center horse boarding agreement as presented and attached to these official minutes. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we accept this resolution. Debbie seconds.
Any discussion? Are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the Equestrian Center horse boarding agreement is approved. Yay. Okay. The next item is to entertain a motion to approve the workers' comp collateral requirement, and that has met the 28-day notification for review. Joan, would you, I feel sorry for you having to read all of these resolutions.
This one's short.
This one's short, okay, great.
This needs a title, by the way.
Okay,
Okay. Resolution 90-22-XX, Insurance Renewal Funding. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation maintains a letter of credit with Bank of America in an amount sufficient to meet collateral requirements for the workers' compensation insurance policy. And whereas Safety National, the workers' compensation insurance provider, requires an increase in the letter of credit by $275,000 to meet collateral requirements for renewal of the workers' compensation policy. Now therefore be it resolved that on December 6, 2022, the board authorizes an increase in the letter of credit with Bank of America from $2,050,000 to $2,325,000, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move we approve this resolution. And Debbie seconds it.
Any discussion? Any objections? There are no objections. The motion to approve the workers' comp collateral requirement has passed. So the next item is to entertain to approve the garden center fees, and it has completed its 28-day review. But before we start, I would like Steve to come up and give a brief summary based on a brief summary of why we are increasing these fees and how reasonable they are. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President and directors. Michaela or Paul, do you by chance have this slide? Okay, thank you very much. So on the screen, what we are currently showing is that as of the 2022 budget, we are anticipating about $57,000 in revenue for the garden center fees. In total, in terms of expense that's anticipated for the year, you're looking at about $270,000. So the overall expense that is being absorbed by the community is sitting at about $214,000. So the amount that's covered by the fees is 21%. Up in the text area, it talks about a GRF resolution that was passed back in 2019 that was approved to maintain the percent funded by fees at about 27%. Given the fact that we experienced COVID and other issues for the past couple of years, the fees were not increased for the past couple of years. So despite that fact, the expenses have been increasing. So you have increases due to utilities, labor, depreciation, just incremental over the past few years. And as a result, we're coming back to comply with the original resolution that was passed in 2019 to bring it to 27%. In all, it raises the fees from varying amounts, but it comes down to about $1.50 per month for each resident participating in the garden centers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Should I read it?
So, Joan, would you read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, garden center rental fees. Whereas resolutions 90-12-132, 90-18-03, 90-12-12, and 90-16-18 established guidelines for shared costs and fees. Certain fees can be imposed upon users for various recreational facilities to control crowding, mitigate overusage, and recover operating costs. And whereas the garden center fees administered by the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Board of Directors adhered to the shared costs guidelines established in Resolution 90-12-132, whereby certain fees can be imposed upon users of various recreation facilities in order to control crowding and minimize overusage and to recover operating costs. And whereas, in accordance with the fee review process established in August of 2022, fees with annual revenues of less than $100,000 will be reviewed once every 5 years. Staff will then propose fee changes, increase or decrease, to ensure that shared costs stay within a set percentage. And whereas staff recommends the percent of garden center expenses to be funded by fees shall equal approximately 27%, while the percentage of costs to be shared by all residents shall equal approximately 73%. And whereas the proposed 2023 revenues of $77,233 include garden and tree plot rental revenue of $76,752 and shade area bench rental revenue of $481. The proposed garden center fees are listed in the table below. This is the proposed schedule of garden center rental fees. Garden plots, the current annual fee is $57. The proposed fee is $72 with a 15% change. Tree plots, current fee is $57. Proposed fee is $72 with a $15 change. The shade area bench is currently $11. Proposed fee is $13 with a change of $2. Whereas at the September 8th, 2022 CAC meeting, the committee recommended the proposed staff recommendation of the proposed schedule of the garden center rental fees with an effective date of January 1st, 2023. And whereas at the October 19th meeting, 2022 Finance Committee meeting, the committee affirmed the CAC recommendation of the proposed schedule of garden center rental fees with an effective date of January 1st, 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved, December 6th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the proposed schedule of garden center rental fees with an effective date of January 1st, 2023, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we accept this proposal, this resolution.
Second, thank you.
Debbie's
Discussion?
official
Discussion? Discussion.
We do have two member email comments.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
okay.
Okay.
The first one is from Hedy Williamson, and they said, I wish to complain about the proposed increased fees. I was told that one reason this fee is being contemplated is to discourage those people who do not use their gardens. But what the fee does do is add a hardship to those, excuse me, to those of us who garden throughout the year, keep our plots weed-free, and are good stewards of our community garden. Please keep gardening affordable. And then the second one is from Noella Florida, and they said, good morning. I would like to oppose the increase for the plot increase. This is ridiculous because this is a hobby that we can avail, and we did spend money taking care of our gardens, abiding the rules and regulations of GRF. As a senior citizen with a limited income, why increase what we are already paying so much on association fees, and for the small plot that we are renting for a hobby you guys still want to increase? Please review this proposal and don't increase. And that is all from member residents at this time.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay. Do we need to vote? First, I'm going to ask, are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the garden center fees has been approved, and I thank you. All right, the next item is the update committee appointments. Would you please read, Joan? She's going to get hoarse after this.
I'm practicing my acting. Resolution 90-22-XX, GRF committee appointments. I will read the changes. There are no changes, resolved December 6, 2022, that the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on the committees of this corporation. Strategic Planning Committee, no changes. Community Activities Committee, add Annie McCary from 3rd. That's what's on here.
It'll change for next
We
month.
It'll
have
change next meeting.
right. We have those highlighted just because she resigned from the 3rd board, and so it's just to kind of give you guys a heads up that she will eventually be removed from those once 3rd meets.
This is a work in progress, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, the Finance Committee, Al Amado from Mutual 50 was eliminated. Information Tech Advisory Committee, no changes. Landscape Committee, Reza Karimi, GRF, was eliminated. Yvonne Horton became official GRF rep. Annie McCary, alternate from third, was added, will be subtracted. Catherine Bryans was added as an advisor. That's the Landscape Committee. Maintenance and Construction Committee, Reza Karimi is now chair instead of alternate. Egon Garthoffner is the alternate, and Gan Makapati is the co-chair. Advisor Steve Leonard was eliminated. Under the Clubhouse Renovation Ad Hoc Committee, Gan Makapati is now co-chair. Okay. Under Media and Communications, Juanita Skillman was eliminated from GRF. Elsie Addington from GRF was added. Annie McCary was added from third, and Catherine Bryans was added as an advisor. Under the Website Ad Hoc Committee, Elsie Addington, alternate, was eliminated, and Annie McCary from third was added. No change to Broadband Ad Hoc Committee. Mobility and Vehicles Committee, no change. Security and Community Access, Juanita Skillman was added from GRF. Annie McCary was added from third. On the other committees, Disaster Preparedness Task Force, no change. Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearings, no change. Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Select Audit Task Force, no change. Insurance Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, Annie McCary was added. A new position, correspondent, Elsie Addington from GRF is that. And as a reporter from El Taro Water District, Juanita Skillman has been added. Resolved further that Resolution 90-2250, adopted November 1st, 2022, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move we accept this resolution.
I'll second it, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Is Rhina still part of Mutual 50 or not? Yes. Yes, okay. That's all, that was my only question.
Okay. Are there any other questions, any other discussion? Okay, Juanita?
I would just like to protest the word eliminated. Could we say removed?
Suggest
As
a
one of
different-
those
We don't
who was
eliminate it.
eliminated.
What would you prefer? What would you prefer?
Removed is fine.
Thank you. Removed. Okay,
Eliminated the fire in
Understood. Thank you, Juanita.
got it.
Okay, are there any other changes? All right, if there's no other changes, are there any objections? If there are no objections, the updated committee appointments is approved. So we eliminated the solar update because we don't have anything to discuss on that. And then the next item is to entertain a motion to approve the modified anti-harassment, anti-abuse, anti-intimidation policy and formation of the joint hearing body. And this will go into another 28-day review. So do you want to speak on that?
I can give a brief overview,
Okay.
and Francis is also joining us via Zoom.
Okay.
But on September 6th, this board unanimously adopted the anti-harassment, anti-abuse, anti-intimidation policy and authorized the formation of a joint hearing body. The purpose of this amendment is to reflect that only GRF and United are participating in the policy. So every reference to Third Mutual has been deleted. So those are the simple changes that are before you today.
Thank you.
Resolution 90-23-XX, anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee. Whereas the Board of Directors of United Laguna Woods Mutual, United, and Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, require a clear and consistent policy to address claims of harassment, abuse, and intimidation by directors to staff of Village Management Services, Inc., fellow directors, and residents, as well as claims involving harassment, abuse, and intimidation by residents to staff of VMS directors and other residents. And whereas this anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy is intended to provide guidance relative to such behavior and issue a mechanism for addressing same by the Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Joint Hearing Body Committee. And whereas this policy is being adopted by the Board of Directors of GRF and United in the exercise of their respective duties to maintain, protect, and enhance the value and desirability of Laguna Woods Village and the interests of all of its members. Now, therefore, be it resolved January 3rd, 2022, that needs to be added, that, 2023 should be, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee as attached to these official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that Resolution 90-22-39 adopted September 6, 2022 is hereby suspended and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
I would like to second that.
One yes, comment.
Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Did you want discussion? Okay.
At the risk of sounding flip, what happens if somebody abuses, or what happens if you're in third and you're harassed or abused or otherwise? I mean, just nothing?
Third has a standalone policy.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the motion to approve anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and joint hearing body is passed. Thank you. So the next item, 12, new business, we've moved up the pickleball presentation. And so we have Joan. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Or, okay, you're going to pass out the presentation. Okay, that's great.
I'm Joan Brown, president of the Pickleball Club.
Thank you.
For another
Thank you, sir.
month. And then Miranda McPhee will be president. I'm stepping down. And Tom Conrad is in charge of the committee for this project that we would like to present to you. This is, first of all, thank you, Madam President and directors, for giving us the opportunity to speak before you today. What this is a really beginning phases of a project that we're trying to get implemented. It's really a conception of a project that we're presenting just to get the word out and to make it clear what the word is. First of all, next slide. What we're looking to do is to get a new pickleball facility, which will cost zero to the GRF budget. It will not come out of your reserves. We will get the money ourselves. We will raise the funds. It will cost zero in monthly assessment change. There will be no HOA increases. Got that? Spread the word. No cost to GRF, no HOA increases. Okay. Because we know that we're going to hear, but it's going to cost us increased HOA. Well, we're not doing that with this project. So, next. Again, the benefits to Laguna Woods residents, no cost for residents. They can still play. They won't have to pay any more money for it. It'll provide a modern facility for use by the residents, and GRF will own the facility, and they can take the clubhouse and charge rental fees on it, which would give more income. It'll be large enough a facility so that we could run outside tournaments and get fees from that. We can get sponsorship, and those profits will go to GRF. The club will not keep those monies. And that'll pay the annual maintenance costs for the facility. Also, developers across the nation are adding pickleball courts. You know, we see this. You know, when we started talking about pickleball back in 2011, nobody said, oh, it's a silly sport. What in the world are we even talking about? Now we see it everywhere. When realtors get a new client to take around, they're asking, where are your pickleball courts? How many pickleball courts do you have? This will bring the village into the modern days. We'll be able to compete with other areas. Next. So, as I said, we've seen that pickleball has exploded in popularity. There's money coming into it from all sorts of players. Mark Cuban just bought a team, a league, in fact. CBS is airing pickleball network, not CBS Sports, but regular CBS network is airing pickleball events. What's his name? Stephen Colbert just had a fundraiser for comedy relief that based on a pickleball tournament, and that was on Prime TV too. 63 countries are playing in the pickleball and are part of the International Olympic Committee. And we expect that when that hits 75 countries, it will be an event in the Olympics. That may be too late for 2028. I understand that they've already put in what sports LA is going to have. So it may be too late to get them in 2028. 2032, we will see pickleball. They may have to change the name of the sport in the Olympics. So we've seen a 39% growth in participation in the United States in the last 2 years. 2 years. Nationwide. Next slide. In Laguna Woods, we have outpaced the national growth. In the last 1 year, so from, I can do this, right? Yeah, 2021 to 2022, just this year, we've had a growth of 42% in membership in the committee. So we started out the year with 385 members. Right now, well, actually, right now we're at 548. That's a big, they're coming out of the woodwork, you know. In the 3 years since we opened the courts, and you know, the courts began as the old tennis club courts, and we could only we built as many courts as we could down there, GRF did. And we share those courts with paddle tennis. So we built those courts in 2019. Now, we have doubled the membership. 286 in 2019, 547 today. Hundreds of club members come down every day to play. And we squeeze them in as best we can. We play a 15-minute game, then you get off and we let more people come on. You sign up again to get back on for another 15 minutes. It's what makes it a very sociable game. We spend more time waiting to play than we do actually playing. Okay, next. Why is it so popular in Laguna Woods? it's basically an easy game. It was developed so that it makes everybody equal, so kids can play against adults. Big, tall people can play against short people. The rules of pickleball encourage mixing of people and playing. It's easy to learn, not easy to get really good at, but it's easy to learn. The club, since the day we began, has been giving free lessons and clinics to any resident who's interested. And a thank you to our volunteers who do that. It's a game of strategy because it's doubles. You have to figure out, hit the ball hard, hit the ball soft. So there's a lot of thinking involved. And as I said, it's very sociable. With 15 minutes on the court and then waiting to play again, we're doing a lot of chatting. So what's our plan? We know it's crowded. There's more and more people down there every day. We can't keep going as we're going. It's just too crowded. Next slide. Ta-da! So that's it. This is where we're going. And what we're talking about is the hill over there. There? Somewhere there's a hill. Okay. That has been the mulch dump. Okay? Hasn't been used. I've been here 15 years. I just see the hill get higher, but it's never been used for anything. That's where we would hope this facility will be built. It makes sense. It's right next to tennis. Tennis is here, right above it, and this building is down here. So we're looking to build 24 courts because we need to have at least 20 to have regional or national tournaments, and that's going to be a source of income. So we're looking for 24 courts, a clubhouse, a stadium court, where we can do this right. And the proceeds from the tournaments and sponsorship, again, go to cover the maintenance of the facility. Okay. Next steps. So we know this is pretty general, and we need to put more meat to this. But we wanted to let you know so that when the rumors start, you'll have an idea what they're talking about. So we have to develop a full fundraising plan. We have to identify revenue streams and nail down what costs would be involved. Also, we are here to answer questions. If anybody has a question, contact us. On the bottom of that page, we have our website, lagunawoods.pickleball.com, and our email address, which is coincidentally lagunawoodsfootball@gmail.com. So contact us. We are here to answer questions. This presentation will be on our website tonight, and we're willing to go talk to any club or any mutual to answer the questions. Then we're looking at coming back with a more in-depth presentation to you so that we hope we can get an approval for the project and to use your land to build this. But we can't start collecting and contacting DCF until we have your approval. And I think we also have to get the approval of the corporate members in order to do this. So we know this is the beginning, but we just wanted to make sure that you knew about it before we started spreading the word out there. We know we can do this. We've done it before. The Pickleball Club, raised the funds to add the lights for the remaining courts. And we did it faster than we thought we could, at no cost to GRF or the HOAs. So I guess that's about it. Just want you to know, you have any questions, we'll give you an answer.
So
Thank you.
I have a question. Okay, thank you. So I have a question. How soon do you expect to have this gathering information here that we need to come before the board?
We're hoping in 3 months.
3 months?
3 months. We will, well, and if it's earlier, it's earlier, but we're hoping.
Okay.
3 months to get stuff together and be ready.
Okay. Okay, Joan?
How do you know this is the best site? What kind of research have you done on this?
Well, actually, I hate to mention this.
Go ahead.
Okay, but when we were building the courts out last time, we looked at sites throughout the village, and there was a problem with every site. And actually, this is the site that was selected at that time, up on the hill, for a major fitness center, pickleball expansion, and other activities on that hill. On that hill. Elsie. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you. I guess.
Let me get Elsie and then Gan. Okay.
Okay.
Elsie.
I was just going to ask about parking, Joan. It sounds like you guys have really, I mean, the drawing alone and the presentation was very dramatic, in a positive way.
Thank you.
But what about the, like, parking? I mean.
It's built in the plan. The architect that we hired to do this has the parking in it. It's that area down on the bottom.
No, I got that part, but I mean, what about the city? Have we, are we going to?
It meets the zoning. It meets the zoning.
Does it?
But, right, but obviously, we'd have to go further on it.
I just don't want it to come back and bite you in the
Should be good, should be good.
derriere.
Yeah.
Super, thanks.
Okay. Gan?
It is a very interesting project and a very good proposition. And I understand that there is no cost to GRF and there will be no change in the monthly assessment for the units. And I have had a chance to go there to look at the site. And actually there is a land on the hill, that is a fairly good amount of land, needs to be graded according to the rules and regulations. And there will be additional parking space that in the open area that as you enter Clubhouse 7 on the left-hand side. That was proposed by Ajit, who was showing me around, and Bunny was with me too. And I appreciate the background work that you have done. However, a good area, open area of GRF will have to be used for this purpose. I'm very interested to see that we can have some income as well. But we have to see that there are other projects, in view of other projects, how we can resolve the issue of the land use in view of the potential income as well as other uses that can be done. So the only thing that I find myself that we have to resolve in our mind about utilization of that part, much of land for this purpose.
Right.
So I'll defer that to our chairman and we will consider in the board and come up with some answer, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Juanita?
I'm also concerned with the parking. What I see in the area that you've pointed out might be enough parking for people playing pickleball, but not for tournaments.
Right.
There wouldn't, I mean, parking, if you're going to bring people in to watch, would be a problem. The other thing, you do realize that that is going to bump up against the new fire station.
Right.
That's going to be noise. Is that going to just disturb the pickleball people? And lastly, I gather the only entrance will be through gate 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're envisioning, like tennis has, card swipe to control access to the facility and stuff. And as far as the noise from the fire station, I think that would be nice. It's sort of like, it'll help us to encourage more conversation at a loud decibel.
Laguna Woods Symphony. Huh?
I don't think that's a problem for us.
Okay. Debbie?
Yeah, I just would like to thank you for coming today. And, from the time a little birdie told me about this, as the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee, this is also something of great interest. And I see what the pickleball club is capable of doing with the raising of the money of the lights. So I trust the people that are involved in this to bring us all the best information, all of the things that we'll need to make our decisions, and then bring it forward to the corporate members. But the reality is just what was said at the beginning. There isn't a time you turn on news or television now that they're not talking about pickleball. And, you know, it's here to stay. It's here, it's going to grow. It's not going to decline anytime soon. So thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Okay, Egon.
Yeah, you've done a lot of work here. So you must have at some point talked about dollars involved. What do you see this facility costing to
Well,
build?
the estimate we got, and it's, you know, it's a big picture ballpark estimate, because until you actually get into the soil and stuff, you can only do an estimate. And the architectural firm that presented the plan, he estimated like $5 million, plus when you add on a 20% contingency, it could be as high as $6 million. So it's a couple of bucks. So we have to find some, if anybody is here who's looking for a legacy, and or their parents are looking for a way to get rid of all the money they've amassed, this would be a wonderful thing. It's tax deductible if you give through the village community fund.
Outside sponsors.
Okay, Jim?
Well, first, let me thank you for a very enthusiastic presentation, and it's good to see a concept of a new or expanded amenity that has zero cost to the community. So at least from a
That's a noble concept.
a planning perspective. So I would just like to offer any sort of support in terms of financial analysis and all those kinds of things, because it is a significant project, and obviously you've got what it is that you have in mind, but there's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross. And so I, just like to offer any sort of help in terms of putting the case together and analysis. It may prove that it's not doable, or it may prove that it's extraordinarily and quickly doable. But the enthusiasm that the club brings in terms of making it happen is exciting, actually. So whatever you need. And there's not enough details to make an assessment at this point, obviously.
Yeah.
But it certainly is a good start.
And who else wants to speak?
Yvonne.
Yvonne?
Yeah, with
Okay.
Yvonne.
Okay.
Hi. First of all, Mark Cuban lives in Austin, Texas. If you wanted to contact him. And the other thing is that the pile of dirt that we keep calling it mulch.
Yeah.
It isn't. Underneath that mulch is a bunch of dirt from where they dug it out to build this building. That's how it got there. However, if you want to get rid of that dirt, I have a place for it. So,
Landscaping?
not landscaping,
Filling the hole.
lot 5.
Okay.
And not everybody knows that we own that piece of property across the street that is a catch basin. It's called Lot 5. And if we had some extra dirt, we could sure use it for other things.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well,
Great.
obviously, whatever construction happens, we'll run through M&C, so
Right.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, we're here to help.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Bye.
Joan?
Thank you, Joan, again, that was wonderful. It's my turn. I'm sure you're thinking of outside sponsors of one kind or another, and Yvonne's right, maybe Mark Cuban and others like him
Right.
would be interested in investing in a retirement community, one of the first to do big pickleball.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure the Village Community Fund will be working closely with you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay, one more.
I think I'm last one. I'm a pickleball player, and I love the game. Since I came to this community, you guys taught me how to play, and I appreciate that, and we're learning. I'm mediocre. I can
Yeah,
bring
and
the
more
ball.
than mediocre.
But to really support what you're saying, I just went to a tournament 2 weeks ago in Newport Beach. Almost 2,000 people at $130 a piece in a mediocre facility. It wasn't really a good facility. They turned all of their tennis court into the pickleball court and collected hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is the sport of the future. They were participating 9 years old to 85 years old. They're all playing together. And that's the type of a sport that a community like us need to have and expand, because all of our members, as they learn it, your growth going to be much higher. The only thing I want to also mention, that you guys, the pickleball club, are going to put a lot of money into this before even that you know that this board what they're going to do with it. And that also need to be recognized, because if you guys willing to spend that kind of money to come up with all these plans, that's not free. They're going to cost. And I want everyone to understand that's going to cost a good amount of money for the pickleball club to put those plans together and bring it here. So we really have to be supportive with you guys spending the club's money or your money or members' money and bringing this plan. So we are very sensitive to that too. I just want to make sure we understand that nothing is free.
Right.
You're going to put a lot of effort and money into it before even you know that what the whole community going to do with it. And we appreciate that. Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So the next item in business is entertain a motion to approve the 2023 Aqueduct's billing and, huh? Oh, okay.
Can we have a second so that they can leave and not?
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
I think they already looked at these, just in that we have two big households.
I suspect they're going to find a couple of people to sponsor this.
Just look at it. We have Memorial Care, we have Hope, we have the Saddleback.
I just heard on the news, Jamie Foxx has a whole thing, he has a whole line of like pickleball clothes.
It's okay.
He's all into it. I mean, it's everywhere.
I don't think they're going to have a
I don't
problem
think
to
that, and they
find
got
biggest
some
sponsor.
people that got involved in it.
When one of these $5, $6, $7, $8 is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to resume the meeting. So the next item in business is to entertain a motion to approve 2023 Aqueduct's billing, and it will require a 28-day notification for review. So, Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, 2023 Aqueducts billing. The Aqueducts are a community club, whereas the Aqueducts are a community club who offer an annual Aquafolies water show, synchronized swimming, at Pool 1. The show takes place over the course of 3 days in the summer months. The Aqueducts have been performing for village residents for more than 55 years. And whereas, due to the nature of the show, alternative accommodations are needed to host an event at Pool 1, including but not limited to rental chairs for audience seating are set up around the perimeter of the pool, and lifeguard services during rehearsals and shows. And whereas on June 29th, 2017, the Aquedettes received approval for the fixed dollar amount of $1,250 for services rendered. And whereas on December 9th, 2021, Community Activities Committee reviewed the fixed dollar amount and advised staff to proceed with the 2022 show at the same cost due to prior shows being canceled during COVID. And whereas the cost to support the 2022 show was $5,135, GRF waived $3,885 in event expenses. Staff estimates the total cost of $5,181 for 2023 services and equipment rentals, an increase of approximately $46. And whereas the 2023 business plan does not include an allocation for the Aqua Follies show in 2023, and whereas on November 19th, 2022, Community Activities Committee recommended increasing the fixed dollar amount by $1,000, totaling $2,250 for services rendered. Now therefore be it resolved, January 3rd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the proposed increase of the fixed dollar amount by $1,000, totaling $2,250 for services rendered, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move we approve this resolution for discussion purposes, but postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Is there a second? We still have a quorum here.
Who seconded it? Yvonne?
Yvonne?
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Juanita?
I know we have 28 days to look at this, but I seriously think that it's underfunded. I think we need to go more than the $1,000. This is an event that is unique to our village, and it does get good press coverage, et cetera, and I think we need to support the Aquedettes more.
Joan, and then Yvonne?
If that's an amendment, we need to vote on it. Juanita, do you have a suggestion as to how much you want to increase it?
I would say double it to $2,000.
It's a good suggestion, but we'll let
Okay.
Yvonne speak to that first. Okay.
Well, whatever we
And
do,
then
that
you-
will be an amendment.
Okay, then Yvonne was up and then Elsie.
So, at the last CAC meeting, Maggie Blackwell, who is one of the smartest ladies I know, she came up with an idea of clubs helping clubs. And so we went to the Chicago Club and asked them to help support the Aquedettes. And so now the Aquedettes are going out and trying to get the clubs to help support them in this endeavor instead of putting all of the onus on GRF. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Thank you. Elsie?
And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, where it costs about $6,000 to put on the show. That costs GRF about $6,000. And heretofore, we've been asking for, and stop me if I'm wrong, Allison, but most of the tickets are sold by Recreation. So they collect the money, and then at the end of the day, up until now, they've been holding back $1,250 or whatever it is, and giving all the rest to the club, to the Aquedettes. And so now all we're saying is, instead of giving them back, instead of holding to us $1,250 or whatever it is, it's now $2,250 that we hold for GRF to help offset the $6,000. Is that correct?
it's a waiver of their cost.
Right, so all we're talking about really is we're taking away $1,000 worth of support for anything, and then hopefully that's what the club's helping clubs.
Yeah.
So that's what we're voting on, right?
Okay, I'm confused. We're voting on 22 or 1,000?
You're voting on this proposal, which is
22.
2250.
Okay,
In other words, we're going to keep 2250 instead of keeping 1250.
right.
So I think that if you're going to amend something, it would just be to vote against this particular.
And Juanita, do you want to withdraw your motion or your amendment?
Excuse me, it's not a motion yet.
It's an
It's not
amendment.
been-
I would
and
like
it
to
has
make an
not been
amendment
made
to
yet.
the motion.
It's just being discussed.
Okay, so we don't have an amendment.
Right.
Okay,
That's the amendment that I'm proposing, that the proposed increase of the fixed dollar amount by $2,000, totaling $3,250 for services rendered in the existing motion.
Is there a second to the amendment? There's no second.
Oh.
Okay. I think, may I?
Repeat it again so I can, because I was gone.
Yeah, please.
Okay, Juanita wants to make an amendment to the resolution to increase the amount of $1,000 to $2,000.
In the now therefore be it resolved paragraph of the amendment?
And the final whereas and in the, okay. But there has been no second, and the problem, I can't say it. There wasn't a second. However, Yvonne mentioned the fact that clubs are beginning to support the club. And maybe, and probably, that $1,000 would be realized anyway.
Maybe.
well, one of the things that, GRF wants to get away from supporting these clubs. The residents did not give us money from their dues for us to give it away. We have to keep that in mind, okay? So when the Aqueducts came to CAC, we encouraged them to contact VCF, to increase their ticket price. And we want to support them in the effort to help them, to find a means so that they can continue performing. But we don't want them to lean on us heavily in order to expect waivers every year. So that's one of the reasons why we went to the extra effort to encourage them to go to VCF, to increase their ticket price, and the clubs meeting the clubs, and any other way, that they could raise the funds that's needed. So that's my input. Okay, so we didn't get a second on this, and so
So there's no amendment.
all right, thank you.
We're voting
All right, so is there any objection to the original motion? So if there's no objection to the original motion, the motion is passed. Thank you.
It's to delay it for 28 days.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. All right, let's get back here. All right, so the next item is a motion to approve changes to the West Coast internet rates, and we will go on 28-day notification. So I really want to make a remark first, and then we'll have Eileen come up and talk. But I want you to stay, to pay attention to the rates, okay? Because their rates are very favorable. And if you will notice that with the higher speed, now for a lesser cost, the residents will be able to have a higher speed. And then these new rates give an opportunity for those who want more speed that speed is there. So I just want you to pay attention to that. So Eileen, please come up and give your presentation.
Good morning, President and Board. So this is something that we have spent a great deal of time evaluating, and I just want to give you a little bit of history. There have been no changes to, first of all, West Coast Internet is our vendor. So this is West Coast Internet rates, not GRF rates that we're talking about. But none of this has been thoroughly examined since 2014. And it was time to sit down and really look at what trends are happening. And what we're seeing is 21% increase in higher required speeds. And we're finding about 7% of our residents are abandoning the lower level speeds. So that's telling you that everybody's picking up what's going on out there in the real world outside of the gates, which is much higher demand for speeds. So it's our opinion, which I think is reflected in the staff report, that this is really a win-win, because if a person chooses that they don't want to go to a higher speed and they want to not realize a higher cost, they can just drop down to the next level. There's no penalty for that. But what we are recommending is that the lowest speed that we have no longer be offered when new people move in here, and that we'll grandfather it, we'll keep it there, but that we will eventually just eliminate that level because there will not be, it's not going to work. This ties into a much bigger topic that you're going to start hearing a lot about from us, which is just about the need for speed, as they say, in the internet. But I don't know if you want me to walk you through the actual speeds or whether you feel like you're comfortable looking at it there. But we're recommending that we put this on 28-day notice so that all of the residents are aware of it. And then it would go into effect. You would vote on it in your January meeting, and it would go into effect February 1st. So I'm here to take any questions.
So do you have a question for him? No. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and read the resolution, and then we'll see if there's any questions during discussion. So thank you.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Internet Speed Service Level Improvements and Rate Adjustment. Whereas demand for higher levels of Internet speed in the village has grown 21.75% from October 2021 to October 2022. During that same period, subscribers to the lowest tier of service fell 6.73%. And whereas this demand for higher levels of internet speed and bandwidth, the village is attributable to residents' use of an increasing number of Wi-Fi enabled devices, such as smart TVs, smart speakers, smartphones, tablets, laptops, watches, medical devices, video doorbells, security systems, and so on, as well as content streaming services such as Netflix and Hulu. And whereas recognizing this need to supply faster tiers of speed, the GRF board is working with its contracted vendor, West Coast Internet, to increase internet speeds and adjust internet rates for the first time since 2014. And whereas on November 21st, 2022, the GRF Media and Communications Committee reviewed and recommends the Board of Directors adopt the improved internet speed level tiers of service with an adjustment of monthly rates. Now therefore be it resolved January 3rd, 2023, that the Board of Directors of this corporation approve the following internet speed level tiers and rates effective February 1st, 2023. So, oh boy. Okay, I'm going to read it strangely. For the old speeds of 15 to 3 megabytes per second, we're now eliminating that finally, but right now the old rate was 2350 and it'll increase to 2650, and these people will be grandfathered in for the next year. So it's an increase of $3, but the new speed for that is now 30 30 megabytes per second. For the speed of 30 megabytes per second, the charge was $28.50. The rate increases to $36.50, an increase of $8, but a speed of 65 megabits per second. For this old speed of 50 megabits per second, the original rate was $38.50, increasing to $45, and it's an increase of $6.50, but the speed increases to 125 megabits per second. And the oldest, or the last original speed we had was 100 megabytes per second. The old rate was $48.75. The new rate is $56.50, an increase of $7.75, but an increase of 250 megabytes per second. And the new proposed rate of 50 megabytes per second would be charged at $75 a month. Residents currently subscribed to the 50 megabytes level will be moved to 30 megabytes. However, this level of service will no longer be offered to new subscribers. Residents subscribing to the new 500 megabytes will require a DOCSIS 3.1 modem, and residents will receive levels of service with no data cap. I presume that's on all levels. No data cap on all levels. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept the resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360. And Debbie seconds it. Okay.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Juanita.
I had already told her I wanted to make a comment.
Okay,
And you can
Debbie
go first.
and then Juanita first? Okay.
Yeah.
Juanita?
She seconded it. She gets to go first.
Oh, okay.
All right. I just, I want to make some comments because we've been working on this for a very, very long time. I think one of the things everybody really needs to look at here is that we have not done anything since 2014. If you're in the outside world, that is just not the case. You're constantly getting hit with increases. And our dollar amount is still significantly lower than the outside world. The bottom line is a faster, bigger highways needed. And there's a cost to that. And there's still a low rate. We kept a low rate for those who really aren't streaming and aren't doing those things to still make it where people can access the internet. And this will be helpful to us as technology evolves. So I just wanted to make those comments.
Okay. Juanita and then
I kind of wanted to personalize this a little bit for our residents out there. At this time, I have the highest rate, the old speed of 100 and 110. I am perfectly happy with that. It works fine for all that I do. However, under the new rates, I can decrease my cost by $10 a month by going to the third level, which now is $125.15, which is more than what I'm getting for that amount now. Or for $3 a month more, I could go up to $250, but I really don't think I have need for that. So I think people really need to look at this. It's not just an increase. For many of us, it will be a decrease.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So Reza.
Yeah, if you look at the table, it's a matter of choice. Every member can go look at it and see whether these options fit their needs. And that's what makes it easy for them to pick and choose. If they want to stream Netflix 24 hours a day, they have to go to the fast speed and pay for it. But sometimes the lower speed also work, but depends on as you said, it's a highway, but highway get crowded, and there is no guarantee that these rates that they saying here on the peak hours is going to be there. I know that for fact because I had the high speed, and there were times that my speed was, down to the ground because it was very busy. During the COVID, that was a good example of it. You were grounded to halt, even if you had the high speed. So it's a pick and choose, so member can pick and choose what they want based on their needs and usage of the computer and the streaming that they do. This is pretty good, actually, comparing to the outside. I went at one time do shopping, and I couldn't get anything close to this to come to the community and provide the services. Thank you.
The only comment that I have is this community is going to need to increase the highway. They need to have higher speeds. They need to have a bigger highway. And this is the beginning. And I really appreciate West Coast with working with us to be able to provide this. So is there any other comments? No more comments? Okay. Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the West Coast Internet rates has been approved. Thank you. We are moving along.
President Carpenter, you're introducing the rate structure for 28-day review.
Yes, we noted that, right. Thank you. Okay, so the next item is to entertain a motion to authorize staff to issue a request for proposal for Building E space utilization study and suspend the procurement process for community center tenant improvements. So thank you, Manuel. Will you introduce this proposal to us?
Thank you, President Carpenter and members of the board. Good afternoon or good morning. The item before you is a request for proposal for a space utilization study that will look at various facilities, GRF-owned facilities, for the specific purpose of identifying potential locations to relocate staff currently housed at your maintenance service center. The item was presented subsequent to the agenda report being published to the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee on December 1st. You received an addendum last week or after that meeting, transmitting to you their endorsement and the recommended changes that the committee made. So I will just refer you to the addendum that was provided, and specifically Exhibit A of the RFP, which is on page 18 of 98. The changes are redlined that were recommended unanimously by the M&C committee for the board. I would like to just suggest one additional change based on input received from President Carpenter, and that is the first sentence of Exhibit A. We would recommend that the phrase "through its agent, Village Management Services" be deleted. It simply clarifies the role between GRF and VMS. It does not change the scope of work in any way, and does not affect the proposal. Happy to answer any questions the committee may have on this item, or the board. Thank you.
Juanita.
I have followed this for 5 years, and I am one of the biggest proponents of doing something about E. My concern here is all of a sudden in the packet that we got today, there is a proposal for rental property and moving the people in E, not the E itself. So I really think this is two different proposals, and putting them together is a disadvantage. We've not had a chance to discuss it. We had last Thursday, which is 4 days ago, this was not in the package. Nor was any mention of it made at that special meeting. And so I just don't think, as a board member, I have enough background information to really look at this. I read through it very carefully, and I looked at the feasibility of using the facility next door, and it showed 4 different areas, but it didn't say who would be suggested to move to what area. And there are certainly parts of that building that, to me, were not conducive to things like our security department.
Director Skillman, the item that you're referring to is not the item before you now.
Yes, it is.
That item is on your closed session agenda.
It says suspend the procurement process for tenant improvements. To me, that is part of that.
That is for the tenant improvements that the board previously directed us to provide construction plans for the 3rd floor to move HR over there. But in light of the proposal before you to do a space utilization study that includes this building, we're recommending suspending that procurement to add offices to the 3rd floor at this time.
They should have been built 6 months ago.
It should have been built 3 years ago.
No, I mean the improvements, the tenant improvements should have been
Right.
done 6 months ago.
Yeah, we
Well,
know.
it's our process, it's slow.
Right.
I have a question,
Comment, then,
or comment, question.
okay.
I don't understand why you've got, let's see, Clubhouse 1, 4, and 7 on this. And, you know, you're M&C and I'm CAC, right? And so it would, in my mind, you would come to me and ask me what's going on or what's open at those facilities, which my recreation department, not mine, our recreation department, and I know best what's going on at those facilities. Yet all I see is M&C. Am I making myself clear, I hope?
You are, Director Horton, and that is our intent as part of this study, is to look at the facilities, discuss them with not only recreation staff, but also the committee. This is just the focus of where we're going to direct the consultant to look at. And the reason 1, 4, and 7 are identified is because they have been the topic of discussion at previous M&C committee meetings about potentially shifting uses around between the facilities. It's not a definitive, but we don't have board direction yet to go and look at that. So that's what this is suggesting, is that we look at those, and it will include a conversation with both recreation and special events staff and the committee.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of drawbacks when you start looking at those clubhouses to make any changes. My opinion, thank you.
But Yvonne, you will be on that.
Pardon?
You will be part of that decision, or that group that makes the decision. Aren't you lucky?
Thank you so much.
I know you'd appreciate it. Okay, so I want to go ahead and have Joan make the motion, and then if there are any more questions, we can have that during discussion. Thank you.
I move we approve to authorize staff to release the request for proposals for the Building East Space Utilization Study and suspend the procurement process for community-centered tenant improvements.
Do we have a second? Okay, any further discussion? Okay.
More question. How much is this going to cost?
We don't know yet. We'll solicit proposals from consultants and bring back that to the board for their deliberation.
Oh, okay.
This is
So
just
this is a
request for
semi-approval.
proposal that we're going to send it out, and they're going to send the price, and then we're going to decide what we're going to do with it at that time.
Okay, Debbie was next, and then Jim.
Yeah, all I want to say is that this makes my head hurt. And
Mine too.
I hope that when we go forward with this, that we come back with something that actually works and we can actually vote on and we can actually get accomplished, because this has gone on way, way, way too long. And I, you know, a lot of stuff has happened, reasons why, I get all that. But me as a business person if I had run my business like this, it would have been a bad deal. So I am imploring everybody involved in this to make this expeditious, to make this clear when you do come back with the proposals to us, and to look at what we need to look at so that we don't have to have this conversation again a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. That's all.
Thank you. And then Jim next.
Yeah, I kind of mirror what Debbie said. This has gone on for 3-4 years, I guess. And I know there was, I'll call it an in-house review of what the space needs were based on what VMS thinks they need with a careful study. I don't see anywhere in the analysis that anyone has gone through their study and said, this is what I don't like and this is what I do like, and tried to deal with that.
That's true.
And so now we're going out to get a consultant, and I can tell you what consultants do. They come in and say, tell me about it.
Right.
And we're talking about an entire village now, because now we're including recreational facilities. And now we're going to ask them to tell us what we want to do with our facility. I had a fundamental disagreement with it at the meeting, and I realized I got outvoted. I'm sure I'll get outvoted today too, because I think we got to move on. But fundamentally, I disagree with the approach that we're using. We have not evaluated VMS's analysis of their needs, and we're going to ask someone else to come in and tell us what we need. Makes no sense.
So just a comment, the board did evaluate the recommendation by staff and approved it. And the only issue we had was because it had to do with the building itself and how much it would cost, that the corporate members insisted that we go through this process. And we all know that we're going to end up paying twice as much, for all of these steps than we would have if we would have gone forward with the staff recommendation. Okay, one more comment.
And just to further complicate it, as we move into what I think the end goal is, okay, of corporate members, et cetera, we're going to end up with not just space decisions, but severe policy decisions that we're going to have to make. And that's going to be delayed, and we're going to end up not resolving this issue probably for years to come.
So one of the questions, and I have not approached Lenny on this, but one of the questions is that because of the trust, because this building is in the trust, is it required that we replace that building? We have to find out, and I'm asking Lenny, can I go ahead and email Jeff Beaumont, because he's the one that's so familiar, with our trust, and ask him the question as to what our replacement requirement is based upon the fact that Building E is part of our trust. Please. This would make a big decision. This would have a big impact on what we do next. We still have to go out to bid for the design, but we also have to know, we have to know whether we are required to replace it, because one of the things our reserves is based upon is maintaining the buildings. Okay, so can we actually demolish that building and not do anything with it? So Lenny, I need to be able to contact Jeff Beaumont.
I'll make a comment. And based on the proposal to go ahead and go ahead with the Building E proposal, which was unfortunately or fortunately, it was rejected by Third and United. And Third and United came up with the alternative ideas, which Manuel just explained was a space utilization study.
Right.
And putting the people that need to be out of those buildings into a lease, which you guys are going to discuss in closed session. And that was the plan. There was no plan to replace the building. And so that wasn't even under consideration.
Right, but we now I'm asking.
can
What do you
you-
mean it wasn't under, that was the whole point of the meeting, was to replace Building E. I don't understand what you're saying, Lenny. Maybe I just don't get it.
If the question is to demolish the building, that needs to happen, but you can contact him about that.
I would appreciate it.
Well,
Yeah.
let me give you my 2 cents. The GRF owns the trust. The trust have buildings named in the trust.
Right.
As a trustee, if you decide to demolish one of the investment that the trust has, are you by law required to replace that with similar structure or like for like? If the answer to that is yes, we are chasing our tail and we are really going around and around and doing all this studies, spending money where the law said if you destroy that building, you have to build another one similar.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer.
That's the core of the question, because right now I just to go to the next step on that, saying that with the issue of why we're doing this study, last 3 years this community have done discussion, studies, looking at this space. The reason for that was nobody kind of believed what somebody else telling them. Mm-hmm. That's why we need to go get a third party and spend our money in order to put that issue in a bed.
Right.
And that is what the other mutuals said it. That's why everyone wants it. That's why we're doing it. If as I said before, if it was a king for a day, I would not do it. Because it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to bring the trust and the credibility to this issue and put it in bed once for all. But the issue of the building need to be resolved, because if we have to replace that building by law, then we are really spending a lot of time and chasing our tail for nothing, and we should not do that. As a fiduciary, we should save every dollar that we have. But right now, we don't have answer to that. We are proceeding.
Yeah, that's a legal question. I think you need to get.
Yeah, that was
that's
the
what I wanted.
I don't have the
question.
answer for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
But you
So
should,
what
you
are we
should
doing
talk
here?
to him about that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Where are we at? Discussion?
We're at the discussion stage.
Okay. Okay, Juanita.
I find a staff report, but I do not find a resolution on this in our packet. So what are we voting on, a staff report?
No.
We're voting on a procedure. We don't need a resolution to do this one. We just need to make a movement.
So just a motion to approve the staff report? Well,
We are simply authorizing staff to proceed.
With the RFP and the scope that's been included in the packet here.
it's not clear, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No questions?
If you look at the first paragraph of the staff report.
Titled
the
recommendations.
We are approving the recommendation.
Right. Okay, you have a question, Elsie?
Yeah, I did have one question, and maybe I missed it. Thank you, Manuel, for putting up with version 2.1.4 of your direction. What are when you do the RFP, are the new bidders going to get to take a look at those other reports that we looked at a long time ago, with showing the different, the modular, the 10,000 square feet, those different, all that work? Are they going to have access to that so they don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Yes, they will.
I mean, I don't know if that's legal.
Yeah, no, they will have it. It's included in the packet. It'll be there for reference only, but it's not what we're asking them to do.
No, I understand that, but I mean, they'll have access to.
They'll have, yes.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, are there any objections?
Let's take a regular vote.
Okay. What's your objection? Oh, I guess that's it. We need to take a vote. I'm sorry.
Take a vote.
Yes, okay. So all those, I'm getting mixed up here. Okay, so all of those that approve, that trying to find the right words. All those that agree with the proposal to have staff go forward with the RFP. So,
And suspend the process.
yes, that agree with the process.
With protest. I vote yes, but I protest.
You're voting yes? 6, 7, 7, no, opposed.
Okay, how many noes? Okay,
In spirit, I vote no.
Well,
Okay.
that's me too. In spirit, I'm voting no because I think we're just chasing our tail, but
Yeah.
we
And
cannot
it's-
stop. We have to move forward.
yes, that's
Yeah,
what we
and if-
want to do is.
All
move
this money's
forward.
getting
Madam
passed
The
President.
along.
discussion is finished. That was a vote of 7 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, if we know we're chasing our tail, we better stop it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes somebody else is going to catch it.
We voted for it. Who
Yeah.
voted against it?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't look that directly.
Okay.
I
all
thought
right.
Joan was seeing things.
All right, so
There's 2 people.
thank you, Manuel, and we look forward to working with you to get this going.
Did you
Thank you.
get the
Thank you, the board.
entire vote?
Huh?
Did you get the whole vote? I didn't
It
get it.
was,
8,
Eight.
one negative, and the rest of us voted yes.
Okay,
and then Gam is gone.
And Dan's not here.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, I have to figure out where I'm at here. Okay, this is a big packet today. Okay, so the next item is discussion of GRF Town Hall meeting. During our agenda prep, it was asked that we put this on the agenda to discuss if GRF wants to hold some town hall meetings. So the question would be a motion, basically, to say that GRF would like to have some town hall meetings during the year. I would like to suggest, maybe, do we want to have town hall meetings once a quarter, once every other month, or what would be the motion?
Never.
Okay.
I'd say no more than 2 a year.
Yeah.
Have we developed a need for it, or has the need been developed?
In just a second, the reason why they were thinking that there is a need for it is because the mutuals are doing this, okay? And then also to basically to be more transparent to the community. So that's why they suggested. Okay, Jim.
Yeah, and I see it as not just being transparent, because I think we really are transparent here.
Right.
But also, there's a lot of things happening in the world, in the community, that I think people need to be informed of. And so I think for me, the idea of a town hall is really to make sure that information is being gotten out there, and not misinformation, because we're going to be dealing with some misinformation today. So I think the twice a year or some level of that gives everybody an opportunity to hear what's going on from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and be well informed and be able to ask direct questions in a town hall setting. So I see it as more of a communication device as opposed to a transparency device, because I think we are totally transparent.
Okay. Debbie? And Joan, I'm sorry.
And I'm thinking, I mean, we have a lot of varieties of communication here, and we are very transparent. But I do find that, when you go into that type of environment, you get a different feel. And, we have these meetings, and after the pickleball club left, look at the audience. No one's there. So, if the town hall brings out people in a more informal environment, I'm all for that. I just don't ever find that educating and communicating has a downside. So I don't think we need to do it quarterly, though. I think that's just overkill. But, have one, see how it goes, and then decide when we have the next one.
Next. My turn.
Okay.
I agree. I think the occasional town hall meeting is appropriate to let the residents know what the trends of the times are and how we, as a village, have to keep up. And we can give them advance notice of things we're seeing and trying to cope with and get their feedback and their questions and help them to understand in advance what we're doing, so that it isn't a surprise that they don't have the cable anymore, for example, and they're not just caught flat-footed. And so I think the trends, and maybe twice yearly at the most, is what I'd suggest.
Yeah. Bonnie?
Okay, Reza?
Yeah, I see town hall at the venue to present where GRF stands on some of the issues rather than the rumors that goes on if people are not aware. GRF, unlike the other mutuals, work with the cross-section of members. Everybody, doesn't matter United or Third, work with the facilities, use facilities, and use all the amenities. And we need to let them know what's going on and hear back from them. Let them be the part of the process rather than the recipient of the rumors going on somewhere. Every 6 months, we pick some information that we want to exchange, present it, and then open it to the discussion. Let people went out and say what they think, what we are doing, and what we are not doing, get those information back. We should not be afraid if somebody yell at us in the meeting. It's okay. We accepted this responsibility, and we have to face it if people are unhappy. That's the only way that we know what the real issues are, and we can work with it, explain to them, and try to move things forward. And twice a year, I think that's good because you gather all the information for 6 months and go and another 6 months and get the exchange of information. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Because then we'll make a motion. Okay. Wendy?
I'm in favor of town halls. We've had them in the past, and they have been both good and bad, but something always comes out of them. But I don't see that we need to do it on a time basis, like quarterly or semi-annually. It should be on the issue. For instance, when we had the age well proposal, we had something that we needed to get the information out. The town hall worked very well. We got good feedback. And I think it should be based on issues rather than calendar timing.
So my only comment to that is the town halls will be in addition to any type of town halls that we need for issues that come up, because it's a different format. Okay, one is for, like with Agewell, was for a specific item that we wanted to get out to the community, whereas a town hall is going to be covering several issues. Yeah.
We're doing that on MNC because right now the meeting on 12 is in Clubhouse 5,
Right.
is on the issue SCE, and that's sort of town hall, but it's focused on only one item. The town hall that we're talking about is pretty much, we give some information on some of the project or information about some of the items that we work on. The rest of it is exchange of idea where these things are focused. What we do on 12 is only focus on SCE. We are not going to entertain other issues because that's irrelevant to that meeting, although it's open and it's town hall type, but it's not.
You think you're going to keep them quiet on other issues?
Yes, I can.
No, it doesn't work that
Well,
way.
they can say whatever they want, but if their microphone is not working, it's not working because we tell what the status of that meeting is. If people are not responsible to respect the forum That's their problem, is not the problem of the forum. People have to respect what is said, what is done. And if they have it, they can come here and scream here. That's fine.
That's so nice.
Okay, are we ready?
Apparently
Jim?
Diane
Okay.
has something to say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is it on an agenda item?
Is,
Because she's not a board member.
I don't think we can hear you, Diane.
you know, we,
Can't hear you.
Can't hear a word you're saying.
You're still muted.
language.
Change your speaker, Diane. Or change your microphone.
Unless she's talking about an agenda item. She's not a
Oh,
member
we're
of our
past
board.
the agenda, we're,
She's not appropriate.
all right.
Yeah, it's not her time.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah. We need to keep.
I have a,
moving
yeah,
so we
let's.
get done.
let's-
yeah,
let's keep going.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, all right.
Just
Jim?
one last comment. I like the idea of a regular scheduled agenda, town hall, because you can, residents can see that 2, 3, 4, 5 months ahead of time.
Right.
And yes, for special events, special situations, we'll call a special one. But I think the idea of a regular town hall means they can gather their gripes or compliments or what have you, and bring everything forward. It'll be tough at first, but we know, obviously, we're all pretty much prepared, given all the varied committees that we all sit on. And so there's all a rational reason for everything we do, and well investigated with the help of staff. So I don't see the fear, to be honest with you. And by the way, something as important as the bus, we had to call like 3 town hall meetings to get a quorum, so to speak. And so ad hoc town halls don't necessarily work, in my view. Not in this community.
Okay, are we ready to have a motion?
I had a comment.
Okay,
I do agree with you, Jim. I think we need to set twice a year as a regular thing. And then if we have something that's special, like cable, for example, and broadband and things that we know are going to come up, we will probably have to have some kind of a special meeting. But a town hall is more general, and I think our idea of telling people what the trends are and what we are up against or what we're thinking about here as people who are responsible for the facilities and the services, not the housing, it needs to be put out to the community. So I propose, if I may, a motion. I move that we have town hall meetings twice a year, 6 months apart. And I'm leaving it open so that we can determine which months you want to do it, in order to let the community know what the trends are and how GRF is pursuing those trends.
I second.
you have a second? Any further discussion?
Now, if we need to set the dates, we could say January and June, but it's busy, and it's new board and everything, so maybe February and July would be good.
Yep. Whatever works.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Anybody object to February and July?
I
It's a
would
friendly
propose that
motion.
We set the motion to have them.
Have
and
them
then later
6
on-
months apart.
Later on, set the schedule, because.
Well, if we could do it now if you don't object, but if you object, okay.
Well,
Okay.
the reason for objection is there's a lot of things to be laid in place before we set that. For instance, July is right in the middle of the planning session, too. So there's a few things to consider. and I
Okay, so
think
we'll just say twice a year, 6 months apart, months to be,
determined, yeah.
months to be determined.
Yeah, and I'd like to get the input of staff as to the when and how and where.
And
those kind of things.
can I just tell you what Diane Casey has to say?
Is she talking
Is
to
it-
this?
She's talking
She's
to me.
talking to this.
But what is she talking about?
She says, my comment is regular town hall has no staff, only board members.
Right.
Okay?
We realize that, so
So
thank
that's
you.
what she wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So,
All
is
board
there
members or just
is there
five?
any objection to the motion?
Me.
You object to the motion?
I'm the only one.
Well, why, okay.
Why?
Did you
Do I
have
have to have a
comment?
reason?
Yeah,
No.
no, that's okay.
Because
Okay.
I think
so-
town halls, in our case, will turn into a Donnybrook.
None of, okay.
But we need to, and that's fine, and that's fine.
And you and I have both been to town hall meetings,
Oh, yeah.
and was it not painful?
Okay,
It is painful, but,
It's part of our job.
yeah,
You guys vote the way you want.
okay.
I think that,
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna,
still in discussion.
yeah, okay.
If I may say something.
All right.
Regards, I think when we have a town hall meeting, we need to structure it carefully. And that in that way, we can't avoid a Donnybrook, i.e., we will say, we are presenting the trends that are coming up. These are the topics that we're going to hit in the town hall meeting. You can't just say, okay, everybody, what are your gripes? And you know what that means. But I think we need to structure it carefully, and maybe that's part of the part of the planning. So
Okay.
we can't go ahead
Maybe
with
so, but have you been to a town hall meeting?
Yes, several.
And how did you find them?
It depended on whether they were structured or not.
Well, I have never been to one that was structured.
Well, I've been to several with Third and a couple with, well, I haven't been to any with United.
I've been to all the last ones with Third, and they were all been Donnybrooks.
Okay,
Yeah, I would say, obviously, it's got to be structured, and if the structure breaks down, then the meeting's over.
Yeah, you just
Here,
call it
you know,
and
that's
you're done.
pure and simple. It's to exchange information. So if the structure breaks down, and it's not going to break down because of the folks who are running the meeting, it's going to break down because the people who we're running it for are out of control. And so then the meeting's over. I mean, that's really how you conduct, and that's part of the structure, to be honest with you.
okay, Elsie?
So, I went to one of United's open houses, and the struggle with not having a quorum, it turned into a mighty battle. And so are we anticipating, because you keep talking about controlling and is this going to be a full board meeting? And then so we're going to have so this is just going to be
It
5
won't-
people, and how are you going to control it with only 5 people and no staff? If they really, I mean,
Well, it just talked about it would be structured, you would have maybe 2 or 3 people, from the board speaking. You don't have to have all of them, but it's not a board meeting. It's just 5, yeah.
so the rest of us can't come then, right? So we wouldn't be
Everybody's
available.
invited, it's just that.
Well, if we come,
you
and
have
if
some
we
on
have
the
more
panel.
than, if we have more than a quorum, if we all
We
come.
can't have anybody besides the 5.
I mean, that's what I keep hearing. I mean, every time
You
we.
can't, it's not a
Oh,
board
it's
meeting.
not a board
It's not a
I know
board
it's
meeting.
not, but I thought it, the open, I forget, Sterling Davis, they talk about being careful, we can't have more than a quorum, like we were
Right.
having a
Yeah, right.
hamburger,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Well, so what's the difference between having a hamburger and having an open house? I don't know, I'm
It's
just
not, it's
asking.
not the same structure, for corporate meetings or the same requirement for corporate meetings or for all board meetings. Totally different. And even though we have a quorum there, we're not disobeying the open meeting act. We're
Yeah.
not
And
in
that- and
those
that-
cases.
That was going to be my point. That's a
Yeah.
distinction without a difference.
Yeah.
Because
We will
if-
be discussing board meetings.
No, I know, but
board
it is
business.
a distinction without a difference, because if everybody's there,
There's no vote.
and the structure says it's open anyway, right? It's open to anybody that
Open,
wants to
right,
come.
right.
All right, so there's no violation, it's just a different structure.
And I'm fine with that, but then
Okay.
how come people keep saying, in the director's room, we might be talking about our dogs. But it's like, the 6th person walks in the director's room and we've got to adjust it. That's all, I just want clarification.
No,
there.
I realize that, Elsie, and I did get, and I'll have Siobhan talking, but I did get an opinion from our legal, and there is definitely a distinction between having an all boards meeting and a corporate meeting, based upon you sitting in the director's room and 6 people coming in. there's a distinction between that as to whether we are violating the Open Meeting Act. But guess what? You can ask that question in closed meeting because Lori is going to talk about the Open Meeting Act. So, okay, so Siobhan.
President Carpenter, that was what I was going to suggest, that legal give an opinion on this, because our understanding is that you cannot have a quorum.
But I just want to say the last word on, on my side on this issue is that I personally give our member more credit for being pretty attentive and civilized rather than worry about them being rowdy and combative about issue. Let's give them the credit because they, we all are members of the community. Everyone has the best of the community in heart. And I do not discard them as saying that, if I'm there, they're going to be rowdy. If they have issues and we attend their issues, they realize that we're trying to help. And for one or two, I'm not saying that there is never a bad apple in the cart, but for that, you don't destroy the whole cart.
Okay, so are we ready to move on? And Joan?
I think finally you need to have an agenda at the town hall meeting. And that you can always refer back to, that this is our agenda, these are the things we're speaking about today. And you can give them it's difficult to know whether you give them a free-for-all. If you dare to do that, then we're in trouble. But if you stick to the agenda, which is information that we're presenting to the community for their feedback on those topics, I don't think it's so terrible. And I think you'll find that they'll be happy to have that, especially if it's looking into the future that they didn't realize was coming.
Okay, so we're ready to vote, right? All those who approve that we would have 2 town halls meetings a year, and whatever committee or group or that's working on it will decide on the structure and the agenda and that sort of thing. We'll have an advisory committee that would work on the town hall each time we have one. Okay, so all those approved. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Oppose? And we have 1. Okay.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. And we will bring up that question in closed meeting with Lori, because she is going to be there and talk about open meeting as to what are requirements in the town hall. So I appreciate, Elsie, you bringing that up, okay? Thank you. All right. So the next item is the petition calling a special meeting refund request. So staff has recommended that we put this on our agenda to address the residents, because there was over 800 people that signed this petition, okay? And so what I want to say is that the GM's office received the petition with 801 signatures from Mr. Beckett regarding wanting the corporate members to schedule a special meeting to determine if GRF should refund $345 to owners. So the opinion of GRF Legal Counsel, Corporation Codes 7510, states that a special meeting of the members may be called for any lawful purpose by 5% or more of the members. So under GRF's bylaws, 2021, Article 6, Section 6111, decisions regarding the assessments to be paid by the mutual members is made by the board, not the corporate members. Therefore, since the petition seeks a meeting of the corporate members to decide on refunding the assessments, the petition has not stated a lawful purpose, because that decision is made by the GRF board and not the corporate members. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thank you, Madam President. And then even though, we are not required by legal opinion not to have to address this petition, I think it's come up often enough and in many venues that it does need to be addressed. So what we've done is well, first, it was the first time we saw it was addressed in one of the meetings. I think it was a September meeting, where one of the residents came forward and said, hey, look, we're due a refund because you had a surplus in 2021. We eventually acknowledged that there was a surplus and that we actually had forwarded a refund in the next plan. And by the way, that request came from another resident other than the resident that made the complaint. And staff addressed that individual directly with a letter, which was accepted, gave him the exact amount. Now, cycle forward another month, another resident came forward and suggested, again, that there was a surplus that was not credited back to the residents. Followed that up with a Globe article after we explained to that person, followed it up with a Globe article asserting the same thing and even coming up with numbers, and that's where the $435 or $345 came from. All right. I responded to that Globe article with the facts, and that individual came again to the next meeting, and where we asked the individual, where did you get the numbers from? We were able to ascertain where the numbers came from, and we showed on a chart with the original documents that the numbers were misinterpreted by this individual. The individual then went out and continued to petition after knowing that the basis for the petition was incorrect. So what I'd like to do for those that are out there watching on TV or wherever is to put up the charts again, but this time in a different format so that we can understand them. So if you'd put the charts up that we had prepared, I'd appreciate it. And what I want to start with is there's some formalities that we do in terms of transferring so that we can use it. We transfer the surplus to a contingency fund so that it is available for future use in the prior year. And so what we did during that process, we had $964,180 that was transferred to the contingency fund for future use as a credit during the planning cycle. Next chart, please. So here's where the resident got his numbers from. He quoted in the Globe article that there was $4.4 million that should have been returned to the residents. Using this document, because he asserted that this was the document he got his numbers from, using this document, he said we needed to reimburse them. If you notice, though, that when you look at all of our per matter per month and our fees are based on cash, not non-cash items that are contained in a financial document. Now that's maybe too technical for most, but essentially we eliminate the depreciation expense when we look at that. So what he took was actually a loss, which is a negative number. The $4.4 million is actually a deficit, not a surplus, and then did not consider the depreciation and asserted that the $4.4 million was due back to the residents. Next chart, please. Here's what that looks like. The total assessment revenue and non-assessment revenue that is associated with our operating fund. This is operations only, it's not reserves. The expense was, the bottom line was a deficit of $4.4 million. You see that again. Subtracting the expense of depreciation leaves us with the surplus of $964, which we then appropriately placed in the contingency fund for future use. Next chart, please. Now, I wanted to show you exactly how you look at how he got the $345, because we've been talking about $4.4 million all the time. He simply then looked at it on an annualized basis, what that means to the 12,736 manners, okay, on an annualized basis, and that's 345. So clearly we're talking about the same set of numbers. And I'm not going to explain to you again about the 964 because I've already done that. But clearly that was the intent of the individual. And so from this perspective, I think we've proven that it's the 964 surplus that really needs to be given back to the employees. Now the thing is, we actually did return it on the credit when you look at the plan. Next chart, please. Here, okay, I think down at the bottom here. So this is a lot. Okay, let's look at the third from the top. Okay, where we look at our total expenses or the surplus recovery of $10. We're showing that in the 2023 plan as this is the surplus that we are generating that is being given back as a credit to the plan, to the residents. And by the way, we're residents too, so if we got $345 out there, we want to get it too, believe me. So this is, and I don't want to take you through all the numbers, but just focus in on the surplus or deficit recovery in the 2023 plan of $10. So that led to a bottom line of a $3.81 increase. And that's, I mean, I hope that explains for everybody watching that we have no interest in keeping the surplus that has been generated by virtue of COVID and the other things. We do anticipate another surplus this year, and some of it's not just COVID. Part of the problem is that the BMS is having a very, very difficult time maintaining a staff, and we'll talk about that during the financial presentation. So I think that's my last chart. But what I really want to do is also talk a little bit about this type of behavior, because we want residents to let us know what's going on and what they think. In this case, after repeatedly putting out documented evidence of what the true situation was, it was just completely ignored because it didn't fit. I'm not sure why it was ignored, but apparently it did not fit the narrative that was already created. This is not the first time this has happened with this particular individual. And so it has actually cost the village thousands of dollars in professional fees in the past as a result of not only internally doing these things, but this individual has ventured out and actually reported some of our vendors to regulatory agencies. And they had to pay legal fees to explain all of the things that they do. And this is where it really gets costly. It's irritating, actually, but it becomes costly. Staff has spent a lot of time. Now, we don't see, they don't charge us extra time. They just spend extra hours trying to put together proof. The individual does not understand accounting, has not attempted to understand what it means, and as a result is causing, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, has caused a lot of time and money to be spent. And that's money that residents spend. So I would encourage, anytime there's a petition for anything, is to really inquire to the board members and to staff as to the reality of the situation, as opposed to signing a petition. This has cost staff a lot of time, and of course we had to put our energy into it too. But everybody has a right to know the truth. It's just when the truth is in your face, you got to accept it. So that's my commentary and my presentation. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you. So there are no other comments. Is anybody ready for a break, or do they want to go forward?
Just move forward.
So if you don't need a break, we'll just move forward quickly and then go to our welcomed lunch. Okay. And Debbie in the audience there, you are invited for lunch. Okay. All right. So the next is the report of the Finance Committee.
Sorry, I guess that's the treasurer's report. Thank you.
Still on the stage.
I'm still on the stage. I'm doing a lot
Yep.
of talking today. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to try to, I've got a prepared statement for this, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. I'll just read it, look for
Okay.
comments. This is slide 1, and it includes all the revenues and expenses, including those designated for reserves, which includes investment income. It also includes the transfer facilities fees and the GRF portion of our HOA fees. It also includes contingency portion of the HOA fees. So this is a totally inclusive income statement, which, by the way, this is one of the reasons why people mistake why the surplus. Excuse me. Excuse us. Are we interrupting something? Anyway, through the reporting period of through October 31st, 2022, GRF had a net revenue of $3,019,000, with total revenue of $39,648,000, and total expense of $36,629,000. GRF was better than budget by $1,009,000, with total expenses coming in at $2,150,000, better than anticipated. The favorable results seen in expenses were partially offset by the lower revenues of $1,141,000. Those revenues were significantly impacted by the unrealized investment losses, which we talked about early in this meeting. Slide 2, please. The next chart displays the operating fund only, which excludes the non-operating revenues I mentioned before, and it also excludes depreciation. This format is where we calculate the operating portion of our HOA fees. This report shows a favorable variance of $1,894,000 through the reporting period, with expense better than budget by $2,120,000. It's offset by revenue, which again is worse than budget. Slide 3, please. As I mentioned in slide 1, okay, the impact of this year's unrealized investment losses has had significant impact. The current market value of the GRF portfolio is $17,867,000, and that's compared to a value at inception of $19,031,000. The year-to-date market value has decreased by $1,663,000, or 8.5% this year. In October, the value decreased by $118,000, which is actually less than it has been in previous years. Of the $17,867,000 portfolio, $17,271,000 is part of our reserves portfolio. While these long-term investments and the GRF reserve balance has while these are long-term investments and the GRF balance has significant cash to supply our anticipated needs, the board is currently educating itself and reviewing if strategies to exit the bond funds is appropriate and when. As you may know, the decision to invest in bond funds was recommended in 2019 by an ad hoc committee of all boards and was adopted, and the policy was adopted by the GRF board. We are currently planning that this education and initial review will take place at our next Finance Committee meeting. Slide 4, please. This slide gives us a snapshot of the composition of our $31.4 million in net reserve. As indicated, of that amount, 14.3 is cash and cash equivalents. Slide 5, please. Okay. Now back to the operating fund and the analysis of variances. First, let's look at the favorable variances. Okay, employee compensation is a positive variance of $1,828,000, and it's primarily due to vacancies in general services for paving and janitorial positions, also in security services and maintenance, recreation services, and information services. All of those areas are actually understaffed and seeking to recruit. And so the recruitment is in process for all of those positions. And as we have mentioned throughout the past 18 months, recruitment is continuing and the year-round effort, and is very difficult in the current economic and employment climate. Legal fees of positive of $188,000, and that's due to the downward trend of litigation and the more effective use of legal services by the board. Next, we look at green fees. Now, green fees are better than planned by $188,000, and that's due to the higher use of the golf facilities. Golf gained a lot of popularity during the pandemic, and that continues. The next is other operating activities of $181,000, and this includes several areas of unused allocations for training and education and uniforms. And on some of this is timing, because we do expect that some of this variance will be consumed by the postage fees, filing fees, permits, and staff appreciation events, which normally occurs at the end of the year. Also, we mail out our assessments packages at the end of the year. In fact, you may have already received those. And so when the mailing bill comes in, we'll start to see the impact of that here too. Now, as far as unfavorable variances are concerned, broadband services were unfavorable by $385,000, and that's due to lower high-speed revenue sharing than budget. We also anticipate additional expense pressure on this cost center as programming costs continue to rise as the industry shifts to streaming and higher internet speeds. This will put extreme pressure on the business model that we have today. Also unfavorable was utilities and telephone, and they were unfavorable by $275,000, and that's due to the high water expense, partially due to the high water expense on the golf course. The rainfall is 69% less than the 3-year average that we use in budgeting. Also, as all of us are experiencing individually, rising electricity and natural gas costs are in all departments, across all the departments. Slide 6, please. This chart shows the resources of revenue, the sources of revenue other than assessments. And to date, we have received $8,227,000 in non-assessment operating revenue. By category, we can see that the largest is broadband, okay, and that's followed by golf, and then merchandise sales and clubhouse rentals. I won't belabor that, but that chart basically hasn't changed for a few months now. Slide 7, please. This chart shows, as usual, our largest operating expense is compensation, and that's followed by cable and programming expense. Of the $32.3 million, excluding depreciation, these two categories, and that is compensation and cable and programming expenses, account for 71% of the operating expense. Utilities and fuel, insurance, professional, legal fees account for the rest, 29%. If you consider that cable and programming fees are offset by broadband revenue. Compensation accounts for 67% of the net expense, while insurance, utilities, and outside services account for 33% of the net operating expense. This balance is a clear indication of the challenge we face in the future as we attempt to hold the line in the face of rising utility and insurance costs and in a uniquely tough labor market. Slide 8, please. As I mentioned in chart 4, we would show a different view of the reserve and restricted funds. Starting with the first column on the left, the reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $34.7 million and restricted balance of $3.7 million. Included in this total are contributions received this year through assessments, trust, and facilities fees. The second column shows the work in process of $3.3 million for the reserve and $83,000 for the restricted. The third column represents the adjusted fund balances of $31.4 million with a balance of $3.7 million for the restricted. And just the restricted, we call that the restricted. Essentially, it's the contingency fund. And of course, that includes the $964, which is restricted to be spent, to be applied to the next year's HOA fees. Okay. Slide 10, please. Or 9, sorry. Let me go back, read that script. Okay. Here we show the resale history from 20 to 22. And it shows community-wide sales through year-to-date of 789 sales or units sold through October 31st. The October year-to-date number marks the first time on a year-to-date basis that we've actually fallen behind the previous year. This reflects a tougher housing and resale market that is experienced countrywide due to rising interest rates. Next chart, please. Now, this chart shows a listing of the reserve, where the reserve money is committed. Of the $15.5 million, $10.4 million that is appropriated, open appropriations, there's $10.5 million of encumbrances, okay, that remain. And we see that the over half of that $10.4 million is really consumed in the clubhouse renovation as well as the new ERP that we are in the process of dealing with now. And the last slide. Over the years, we've averaged about $25 million on reserves. We now stand at $31 million and change, and so we're in fairly good shape. We've got a lot of new things coming up, things that have not surfaced for 20 and 30 and 40 years because we're an aging community. So that's my report.
Thank you.
And
So the next.
You want me to go to the ITAC?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, I might. Oh, in our next meeting, somebody help me out. When is our next finance? Well, our next finance meeting is December 21st, and that's the meeting that we intend to have the teaching education process on our investments.
Yeah.
So it's open meeting and invite everybody to be there, including all the board members. It can be called a board meeting. We're only going to be educated. In terms of the ITAC, we are due for an update from our vendor, actually coming Friday. But in the interim, we are progressing well in terms of the implementation. We spent about 4 months doing the analysis of what we need, and now we're in the process of the implementation process, which is very involved for the staff, because when you start to implement, there are lots of nuances that need to be considered, and the staff is very much involved. Today it's finance, I understand from the financial executives that they spent a full day at one of the ERP meetings just the other day. So it is very much involved, but we are moving forward with that. And so we'll get an update in our meeting, our ad hoc committee. We'll get an update from our vendor, which is Dynamics, and Ventico. We'll get an update from them this Friday. That's my meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on, we have Strategic Planning Committee. Debbie.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a meeting yesterday, but I postponed it, and we don't have another date scheduled, so there's no new report.
Okay. The next would be the report of Community Activity Committee. Yvonne Horton.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thanks to all of our great Recreation Department, Anthem Blue Cross, for the sponsors of the wonderful luncheon that they provided for all our village volunteers. I also wanted to mention that volunteerism is the lifeblood of any organization. I know also only about 10% of any organization volunteer. So I was delighted to see 450 plus volunteers at our luncheon. I want to thank all of them for their hard work. I wanted to mention that Clubhouse 7 is in full operation, and staff is working hard on the other clubhouses to get them returning to full operation. Also last month, the Bonanza and the Hoedown at the Equestrian Center were a great success. That really concludes my report. My next meeting is Thursday, the 8th of December at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next will be the report of Landscape Committee. Juanita Stillman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Landscape Committee met September 14th. We meet quarterly. So our next meeting is going to be in December, in fact, next week. And I encourage everybody who's interested in their own, both the community's landscape and their own, to attend, because Kay Havens from El Toro Water District is putting on a presentation which is just excellent on sustainable landscape. And she answers a lot of questions that I hear from people about watering, about the types of plants that work, about what doesn't, and that kind of thing. So it'll be December 14th at 1:30 here in the boardroom, and everybody is welcome.
Thank you. And Egon, your report on maintenance and construction.
Okay. We met on October 12th, and we discussed primarily items that have been completed. For example, the call center was completed, and the warehouse stock leveling item was installed and completed. And then we discussed 3 items at the hay barn, and not the hay barn, at the equestrian center, one of them being the hay barn, and the recommendation was made on how to protect that the hay from moisture intrusion. And then we also discussed the equestrian center, the arena lighting, and we discussed security fencing and gates. And that was about it for the M&C committee. For the clubhouse renovation committee, we met on October 28th in a workshop and reviewed in detail all of the recommendations made by 27 Diamonds, and we discussed and wrote down 120 different points of interest and things that were supposed to be done in all of the rooms and all of the facilities in the Clubhouse 1 center. That's it. Thank you. Next meeting is to be determined. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a report of Media and Communications Committee. Joe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Media and Communications met November 21st this month, and Ms. Pullen gave a Media and Communications report on the activities that they're putting out, the publicity, including the Village Breeze, the email blast to residents once a week, the volunteer luncheon, not only publicity, but helping set it up, Employee Excellence Awards, the Halloween morale building costume contest and potluck, new resident orientations, the docent tours, and all the press releases we see weekly in the Globe. She also, Mr. Ortiz reported on the broadband services, and he highlighted the Village YouTube subscriber count is up over 43% year over year. Bonus movies will be shown over Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and of course the Christmas weekend is coming up. Subscriber counts are decreasing in general because people are increasingly using different devices. He said the two lowest tiers of internet services are down as people opt for higher speeds. And the A&E contract will expire December 31st and is in negotiations. And this year has been a very successful political year as far as advertising revenue is concerned. That's the end of our media and communications report. Let me go on to broadband services, the broadband ad hoc committee. Ms. Pullen announced, we met on the 21st and the 29th of November, and they're working on an analysis of the transition from cable to internet, especially with the broadband group, and it's very exciting. Jim can attest to that. The other committee, the website ad hoc committee report, there have been proposals sent out. We have had 3 potential vendors meeting and expect proposals back from each of them. The next meeting will be arranged. And our next meeting for Media and Communications is Monday, December 19th, 2022 at 1:30 here in the boardroom and virtually. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. So the next report is mobility of vehicles, Don Tibbetts, and then he would go on with security and communication access.
We had no meeting last month, and our next committee meeting is tomorrow at 1:30. And in security, we had no meeting. And our next meeting on that, the agenda has it as the 26th of December, which is a holiday for staff. So our next meeting is scheduled for February 21st. And that's the end of my reports.
Okay. So we have the report of the village traffic hearings. Elsie.
Okay, well, you better get comfortable because this is going to take at least 3 hours. Our meeting was held on November 16th, and our traffic group, I have to fluff this out a little bit. The traffic hearing board is composed of 1 representative from each of the housing boards plus GRF, so there's 4 members. And if you get a ticket or a notice of violation and you don't agree with it, then you can request to go to this hearing, which is confidential and respectful, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then that hearing board decides if you should indeed pay the fine or not. Well, that was as much as I could fluff that out. We had two hearings this last time. And one was for other non-moving obstructing. And what that was actually the security officer could have written this lady up for several things. She was obstructing traffic because she was parked sort of in the middle of the street, and it was in a cul-de-sac, but it's still where cars come in and turn around. And also she was parked well, I already said she was in front of she was also obstructing another vehicle that was not parked in the middle of the street. So if it had tried to get out, it could have backed up, but it definitely was obstructed in the front. So anyway, that was one of our violations. And the other one was, so that one was other non-moving, obstructing parking in the street. And the other one was parking on the sidewalk. So we ran the gamut of parking violations. The penalties in no particular order were guilty, and it was guilty with fines for both. Our next meeting is December 21st, 2022, but it's closed because of confidentiality purposes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, I thought the last committee meeting was very good. We learned that we have several documents that need to be updated based upon changes that we've had in our resolutions and the changing trend in our policies and procedures. So we're reviewing documents clear back to 2004. And all of the documents that have to do with the member discipline, and we're also reviewing procedures and reporting criteria. So thank you. So the next one is disaster preparedness.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Juanita, yes.
The disaster preparedness met on November 29th. And we had a full response to our radio drill for the first time. Usually there's 1 or 2 people missing. Everybody was there. It worked very well. We got information from Ed Green, who is our new disaster preparedness coordinator on staff. And we're very impressed with his background, and it looked like we're going to go hopefully ahead, because one of the things that was brought up is we're not doing anything with the captains, the building captains and the neighborhood captains, et cetera. They sign up, they get their packets, and that's the last they hear of us. We've not had a training because of the pandemic for quite a while. So we're working on that. We're having a meeting coming up of the clubhouse coordinators, who will then meet with their various building captains. So I hope that we will get people more interested and involved. Our next meeting is January 31st, and it's in the boardroom, and it is also a virtual meeting, and everyone is invited.
Thank you. So Jim is already giving the ITEC committee report. The insurance ad hoc, we're going to take this off of our report for a while. I talked to Dan yesterday, Dan Yost, and there is nothing coming up for this insurance committee to consider at this point in time. I just want you to know staff is always working on how to reduce our insurance. The thing about it is GRF, it's found that our best economic choice is to be separate from the other mutuals. Before, by combining them all, we were contributing more than we actually needed to. So it's better for us to be separate. But and that's not all insurance, because there's also the umbrella insurance that covers, all of the organizations. So purchasing ad hoc, I do have to get with ITAC, find out where we are as far as the design, so that I can go forward and address certain purchasing processes. So the next item is future agenda items. We have, which many we addressed today. We're still on, we'll be on 28-day review, and that is the Aquedettes, the West Coast Internet, and anti-harassment, anti-abuse policy. So we will continue with director's comments, and so we'll go around the dais. Egon, we'll start with you.
No comments.
Nothing? Okay.
I just wanted to comment on the success of the volunteer luncheon. It was well-attended, very nice. Everybody enjoyed it every year. It's something that we've missed for the past couple of years because of the pandemic, but we do depend on our volunteers, and it was nice to have them singled out.
Yvonne?
Here, here. It was a nice event, and it was attended well. And we appreciate our sponsors, too. Thank you.
I have to comment, I don't think everybody realizes how many sponsors it takes, for our community. And Recreation is always looking for sponsors to subsidize a lot of these activities. So this particular event was actually sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross, which we have to appreciate also. So Elsie, you're next.
Thank you. Nice meeting, Madam Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank and appreciate Third Mutual for coming up with the idea. And then, as I understand it, I hope I'm not offending anybody, I understand that they subsidized the little meet and greet that we had after the training.
Oh, yes, they did.
And I thought so, but I'm going to give them credit whether it's true or not, because that's what I think they did. So I just want to mention that I thought that was a really good idea. I hope we have more. Maybe we could rotate the cost.
Okay, Jim?
Good meeting, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Reza? Debbie?
Well, I always have a comment. Two things. The first one is, the pickleball thing is really exciting, and I think that's a big turning point for this community. We live in a wonderful place, and it always bothers me when I hear dissent because we have it really good here. But I want to just roll off of what Jim said. Misinformation and disinformation in this community cost us all money. So it's going to hit your pocketbook. Ask the source. Get the information and get the answers from the people who work on these things. Don't listen to the rumors or the innuendos or the disinformation. There is true information ready for you. So it just, going back to what he said, I can't even, countless hours spent to diffuse and dispute an accurate thing that was on the screen that was very cut and dried. So thank you. It was a good meeting otherwise. I don't want to leave on a bad note. It's been a wonderful year. This is our last meeting of 2022. And I am just excited for the future.
Me too, and thank you, everybody. And today was much better than I expected, this meeting today. It went rather smoothly, and I have to tell everybody that I really appreciate that, so thank you.
I just want to say I appreciate everything we've done this past year. You really, all of us should sort of pat ourselves on the back. I think we've been very fortunate in our good teamwork here on the board. And I'm looking forward to changes in the website. That's where I am right now. So in the future, you should be able to find things much easier and just appreciate running around on the website. Anyway, Happy New Year to come. Merry Christmas to come. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of ideas regarding investment things and how much we lost, whether we should be investing together from Lenny Ross, and Jim Hopkins has answered some of the questions and issues. I have a question for Jim. I'm a proponent of MIGA, which is multiple year guaranteed annuity, and it is providing now 5 to 5.5% without any chance of losing the principal. So do our, means GRF, bylaws or trust prohibit us from investing in annuities like that, which is giving 5% without any chance of losing the principal?
Technically, at least by bylaws and by codes, we are responsible for prudence.
Okay.
So the real answer is you'd have to take a look at all of that stuff and see whether or not it's prudent.
That is my comment. Thank you.
And Don?
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can adjourn, not adjourn, recess. Recess, and
1:30?
at 1:30, yes. Thank you. Oh, my gosh, well, I was